Getting through it.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks
That's all you can do,
podcast
man.
brought to
But
you
it's
by
good to hear the shout of like
TSWS
Right.
Game.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you. If you quit playing, won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it. Boosie, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor, and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can help with those. The mo was broke when he made you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet, and I need some seconds. You say you had promiscuous ways, that was back in the day. I'll be alive, I say I did it. That shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place. This nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you. If you quit playing, won't you take the chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Lady, you so far ahead of these others, just like a ship on the horizon. Picking up on your vibe, signal stronger than Verizon. All the thoughts that I've been contemplating, ain't no time for faking or debating. You the one, ain't no mistaking. Look, I see your swag different. Always carry yourself like you ready, you know the mission. I had to know you, I'm tempted. I can see why you timid. Hold up now, baby, listen. Just take that dance with me. I can show you that there's a difference. I'm locked in. I throw away my playaways because you pop in. A shooter always shoot a shot. With you by my side, I guarantee we'll reach the top. I put that on God and then I'll give you all that I got. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place. This nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you. If you quit playing, won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast brought to you by TSWS Game.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray.
Man,
was able to get my hands on the original Game Boy. That's how I was introduced
Well,
to Mario, Super Mario overall. That's how I also found out that I don't like Mario like that because it turned into playing Mario, Pokemon directly. Pokemon was the reason I played Game Boy. That was it. That
All right.
just like Dragon Ball Z games, the Yu-Gi-Oh game that was on the SP.
Man, you going in right now. I'm trying to tell you that we live, bro. You going in right
I'm just saying.
You thinking about that stuff, though, for real. You thinking about it right now. You got it on your mind. All right, welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo, 05 Gaming. Check me out on Twitter whenever. I'm also here every Tuesday and Thursday to do Behind Them Sticks show, also with Loke and Cozy Beluga on Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern, to do bullshitting. So we do all kinds of stuff over on this channel. But today I have a very special guest by the name of Steel Rain that also does Living Split Screen, dope show every Saturday. I believe it's like 9 a.m. my time, maybe 10 a.m. out east. But I mean, we central, right, bro?
Exactly. The true Lord's time, right?
Yeah, thank you. We are the Lord's time over here, bro. So, sorry, too big. Sorry to hear. You all the way out in Hawaii and whatnot. You in some crazy time right now. It's like 3 p.m. over there.
Oh Lord, I wish. Whoa, stop.
Right.
More daytime.
Ain't no lie. But anyways, yeah. Welcome to the show, brother. Thank you for accepting this and also being so willing to adjust your time with my, life going on around me and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, man. Look, I mean, to start off with, it's definitely a pleasure to be on, man. The fact that you even reached out to me, I always find that like such a beautiful thing because I don't expect anybody to ever reach out and be like, yo, I think you're dope enough to just chop it up and talk about games with. And so when I have the time or when I'm able to get to it, you got to move some stuff around. And luckily, I've been going through training because I'm working on a promotion here. So I've been going through training the last couple of weeks. So my schedule's been a little bit different and I've been more open during the week. Getting off a little earlier, so this fit right in. So when you hit me up about it, I was currently going through that process, and then when you hit me, but because we had to reschedule at that point, you hit me back up. It seemed like it was just fell in line exactly the way it needs to, right? They say
Yep, it is what it is.
Ways, whether you believe in that or not, I'll leave that up to you. But there is truth to it. So. And it's just a beautiful thing. I greatly appreciate you for asking me to be on. It's again, it's always gonna blow my mind that just being able to get together online, especially in this Twitter space, find good people, chop it up about games, and really get to what this is supposed to be about, and that's the passion, the hobby. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need to agree on every single thing, but it's all love at the end of the day because we all love the same exact thing, and that is gaming. But but you guys make sure to hit that like button, share this out so other fantastic people within the gaming community can come by, check us out, or check us out, when we're not live, whichever one works. But anyways, let's go on ahead and get to the question. So as you see, Steele, I sent you the questions beforehand because I like to kind of, keep it up front with everybody that I do interviews with on here. So with that being said, I just want you to go on ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, whether it's through the game or if it's actually, on Twitter or whatever social media accounts that you have. Go on ahead and shout yourself out. Plug.
The true introduction, right?
Plug.
Plug. Shameless. No. For those who don't know, I am Steel Rain, the one and only I, Steel Rain I. The T is a 7. If it has a search bar, I can guarantee you will find me. Look, man, I'm where I come from. I'm just a gamer, man. That's where you can find me. Always gaming. Whether that's Xbox, that's PlayStation, that's PC. Currently, don't have a PlayStation because they haven't given me enough of a reason to invest in that ecosystem.
Shots.
A completely different conversation which we get into. I mean, it's just being honest because that's another thing that I always, not necessarily pride myself in, but it's something that I always hold dear to heart because I feel like it's important. And kind of what we were talking about where we don't all have to agree on everything. We all also don't have to be sheep. You can have your own opinion. You can stand your ground on your opinion and it be okay. Again, we don't all have to agree, but as long as we can find a middle ground, not hate each other or whatever the case might be, and just have casual this conversation, that's what it's about. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Mostly, I jumped into the Twitter gaming space over the last couple of years, maybe a year and a half at this point, I think. It's probably going on 2 years at this point. And it's been a beautiful thing, man. I just jumped out there. I had a Twitter before, never took it serious. Social media kind of died for me after I graduated high school in 2010. So it's like, I grew up with MySpace and putting your page together and making sure that you was fly.
MySpace was dope.
MySpace was like the start of an era. I think it molded a lot of people in that era, at least, with coding and everything else. And I think that's why we're seeing that boom too. We're seeing a lot more people interested in that because it was upfront. You would go to people's pages, it's like, yo, how'd you get this music? How'd you get this cool background? And you got people, I put it in the source code and did these hexadecimals, and you're like, okay, so we're talking about something.
Right.
But yeah, man, so that's where you can find me. That's where I'm at. And at any time and point of period, always. Still Ray. I still Ray. I the T is a 7.
Man, you say that so smooth. It sounds like you said that a million times before.
I mean, it's one of those things because me setting up the name, well, my name the way that I did it was intentional. Because of course, like I also came up in the era of like multiplayer gaming and everything, where clan tags was a big thing. Like you would change your name to whatever clan that you were in at the time, right? So I have when I broke off and started doing my own thing. Started my own clan called CCE, Certified Clan Erasers, and it just kind of built up off of that. And then at some point I got tired of continuously changing my name. And I felt like this is like the grown man move you make, at least in the gaming space, where you're like, you know what, no, this is what my name's gonna be. You either gonna accept it or you're not. Fortunately, nowadays games allow you to put clan tags in and whatnot, like
Yeah.
Call of Duty, especially now. Clan tag easily fixes the problem, so you don't have to worry about that. But especially when I started being like, okay, I want to be able to put myself out there more. I want people to know where they can reach me at and it be consistent. I wanted to make sure that it was something that could still reign. As much as I do still want to get that trademarked and everything. And I will at some point, but it's not available everywhere. But if I throw some eyes in it in the beginning and the end, it works. It just makes it, and it makes it easy. So
I think Dealer does something similar like that.
yeah, he says dealer space I whatever the case might be, however he does it.
Yep. I mean, that's the way to do it. So it still looks so it looks like you got lines
Right.
on the side of it just to close it off.
That's exactly why we do it. Exactly. The same thing with the X's and
Exactly.
the B's we used to do. Yeah, exactly. You already know.
Absolutely. So fantastic. I just want to let everybody know watching. By the way, what's up, Stankmon in the chat? Good to see you, Too Big, up in the chat. Good to see some of you folks, some of you usual suspects coming back. But if you guys are looking at my background and wondering why it is so naked and bare, it is because I'm getting ready to move. You could see if I move my chair right here, my Xbox. I got my Sega Genesis 32X Sega CD combo. I got all that stuff just right here because I got to get ready to box it up so the movers can come grab that joint and move it to my next place. That's going to be happening here in just a couple of weeks. Next week, I have to do my little like little visual thing around the house where I take like photos or like a little video call where they come assess how much work they got to do.
How much damage you gonna do?
Yeah.
Are we gonna give you your deposit back?
Oh
That's
Lord, yeah, it's all good. It's all good over here. But yeah, that's what I've been kind of doing. I've also, I mean, if you've been keeping up with me, you know that I had my daughter. She is in the hospital this last week. She had some. Well, yeah, I mean, it ain't that serious, so I can talk about it. But she had some like flare up with her eczema, and I think it was like a perfect combo of heat and like some sort of bacteria because we were in a hotel because I went to go visit my lady because she's working in another state, so we went out there and stayed with her for a little while. Well, you got to keep clean, take a shower. I personally think she got the bacteria from like the shower or something at that hotel or something like that because her skin just went insane. It looked like we thought it was chicken pox at first, so we're all like treating it like chicken pox. Yeah. And it was not chicken pox. so yeah, we ended up at the hospital for like 3, 4, 5 days. So yeah, it's been a pretty wild week. Finally got to sleep in my bed for the first time in over a week. Well, not yesterday, but the day before. So I mean, I'm stoked to be back to normal. Everything's just slowly getting back to normal. I'm just gonna have to make this move and everything happen nice and smoothly. Might have to take another week off or so from this show just for that move and stuff like that, just so I can get comfortable, so I can give you guys a quality product and it's not garbage. All right. So let's go ahead and move forward from all the real life situations. What do you got going on right now? What you been playing, bruh?
Right now, I actually just before the show was in a match in Naraka Blade Point.
Oh Lord!
I'm actually messing around. I called a dub too in the solos. No bots. Got to make sure they let the people know about that because people are bragging and not realizing that they're playing against bots. And you could turn the autofill off and everything, and that's of course that's what I did. I want that hardcore sweaty experience, but
Mm.
been Naraka. I actually also before that, well, I say before that also. I'm in Dragon's Dogma right now. It's the first time I've ever played the game. Dragon's Dogma 2 kind of drew that back up. It's been something that's always been on the back burner for me where I've like thought about it, heard people talk about it. I've seen little things here and there, and I was like, I don't know, maybe.
So
Palm,
everybody's been talking about that game, and I mean,
yeah,
I personally, I don't even know what that is. Like everybody's been talking about it as of recently, as if I should have been known about it. Like
that's how
everybody
people
plays
talk
it.
about. That's what's crazy. That's how people talk about it. And it's essentially why I kind of just said, you know what? Because Paul kept talking to me about it. Not like he was being like, oh, you need to play it, but he just mentioned it. And there's several games that I've been able to take Paul's word for, Cyberpunk being one of them. I enjoyed that game day one, all 50 hours that I put in it and beat it. But I took a chance on the game. It was $5 on Steam. I modded the dog crap out of it, so I got it looking pretty good. It's an older game, so you can only make it look but so good.
Right.
But it's really good, man. It has like this Souls may cry aspect to it in some forms. Not only that, but you can also throw some Monster Hunter in there because you're able to climb on the different monsters. Like when you run into bigger monsters, you can actually climb on them and poke them up. And you got great swords. You got a party that you can have too. They have this thing called the pawn system that I thought is like, I think that may be another thing that was attracting to a lot of people because they really do it in a lot of these games where you have a team or whatever. Like, of course, you want to build your team up, but that's never the focus. Like, they just kind of grow with you, right? Whereas in this, you want to treat your pawn like it's you. So you want to, if you're going to get good gear, you want to make sure it gets good gear. Why? Because it has the possibility of going to other people's worlds. And of course, we're probably too late, years behind the curve. But the way they have it set up is to where this pawn system, as you level up your character, other people can summon your pawn to their world and they can help them fight monsters, whatever the case. And when they come back, they're bringing money with them or items or whatever the case may be. And it helps get that rank up. So it helps you progress further in the game. It's a really dope concept, man, but I'm only about 20 hours in, so I don't want to give it like a super deep dive, but it's definitely a lot better than what I thought. And there's just a lot of interesting things that they have going on in there. The pawn system, along with like the Nemesis system that Monolith put in place for the Shadow of War games, for the Lord of the Ring games, I'm really favoring those right now, man, and it's been pretty dope. But those have been my main two that I've been kind of back and forth. Before that, I was in playing some Star Wars, not Fallen Order, but why can't I think the name of it? Unleashed. I was playing that on PC. I beat the first game. My first time ever playing through them. Again, another one that I slept on. We can talk about that in a minute. Because I'm a multiplayer-centric gamer. Like, if it doesn't have multiplayer connected to it, I probably hadn't played it. And
I feel that.
We'll get into a little bit of why that had been the case. And it is a lot to do with how I was raised. But, and just the generation that we came up in.
Right.
But yeah, so I beat the first game. That game is beautiful. When I saw Star Destroyer bring that fucking ship out of the sky, I just, when you actually experience him do that, it just sets a whole different tone. Where it's kind of like, now I want the new, like Star Wars games, I want the new Knights of the Old Republic to play like that in an MMO setting. I think that'd be dumb dope with PvP and everything. Oh my God, they just did so much right with that. I tried to get through 2. That gave me too many problems on PC, so I had to, after about 20 hours, I ended up having to put it down. Unfortunately, I might end up getting back to it at some point, but there's just so much to play, man. Like, and especially as a multiplayer gamer, it's like, it's quick. I say it like, this game could come out, but if this game has multiplayer, I'm gonna be over here. So it's like,
right.
Time investment, I guess.
Man. I've been trying to do some multiplayer a lot lately, but man, it's hard to pull some people away sometimes when they got they single player game going on.
It is, man.
And I'm a multiplayer first guy. Like when I turn on my console, I look for like somebody to play a certain game with. and if like, like I'm not that big into what is it called, like Fortnite games or what is it called? Man, I'm having a brain
Battle
fart.
Royales?
Battle Royals. I always have a brain fart whenever I'm thinking of that term.
They're not. They're whatever.
Like I played some Naraka Blade Point, and that was a lot of fun to play with friends.
Right.
But like I couldn't imagine turning that on by myself and just playing that. Like I'm good on that. There's some other games I'm more interested in, but that's not the kind of multiplayer games that I'm talking about exactly. I like doing some like shooting or like Turtles, like that Shredder's Revenge. Those are the type of games where like teamwork means a lot. Like teamwork means a lot, but at the same time you can like kind of, I don't know. It feels like you're kind of earning a little bit more when you play teamwork on like a Call of Duty or like a what am I thinking, Battlefield, or even like a Shredder's Revenge, where like, man, like the more people you got in, the more chaos that's going on.
Oh yeah.
So I'm big into that.
And it was like, it was like almost unbearable. It's like there's too much going on in this
I'm jealous, bro, because I've yet to do that game with 6 people, and I really want to just see what's going on my screen. That sounds fun.
It's insane. It's insane. I mean, of course, the Xbox, these consoles ain't gonna have no problem running it,
Nope.
that style of game or whatever the case might be. But it is crazy just to kind of go back in your memory bank and be like, man, I remember playing this game like this, Turtles in Time, and then you come into Shredder's Revenge, and you're like, damn, this game plays so much better. Where it's just like I had an instant thought like, oh, maybe I should go back and play this game, and it's like, but it's not gonna feel like this though. Like,
Well, it's butter smooth.
yeah, and it's crazy. It's ridiculously smooth. It's nice. It's nice.
Absolutely. So we kind of got into this just briefly before we went on live. And now I want to touch on it because this is something that I talk to everybody about specifically, especially in the beginning of the show. But like, what got you really deeply into gaming? Because like, as I know before the show, like I was saying just a moment ago, you told me that your first console was a handheld.
Yes.
The Sega Game Gear, which is something special. Like that console was fantastic. For me, that was like, other than the Nomad, because the Nomad just made things not fair. But other than the Nomad, like I think the Game Gear is second place, if not the GOAT, you know, because that thing had the backlight in it already, you know, so you could see. I mean, that stuff was important to me because I'd be riding in the back seat of the parents' car or whatnot, or on vacation or something like that. I got a bag full of batteries and I'm ready to go. So just kind of run me down on how you got into the Game Gear and just kind of how you progressed into gaming from there.
Look, I mean, it can go many different directions, so you kind of course correct where you feel you need to, but I'll try to answer the question just as straight on as possible. For me, how I got into gaming was definitely accidental. It's not like anybody put it in front of me. It was like, hey, play it. No, it was more so like I automatically took interest in it. My father was in the military. We were in Germany at the time. My mom was actually full German, so she's from there. They moved from over there to here. But nonetheless, my father had one, so of course he had the funds coming in or whatever the case. But he got one. And my father was always like, he was always like the main proponent for gaming, although like it wasn't as always in the forefront as I like try to think back on it now, right? Maybe it was because I was too young, but as I grew older, that changed. But the Game Gear, what made it different for me, and it might have just been because it was Sonic, that little blue character did something to me when I was a child. And it's probably the main reason why, because from the Game Gear, and again, we talked about a little bit in the background, with the Game Gear, you're talking about a system that ate through batteries to the point to where my parents, like, of course you got the money coming in, but at the same time, you don't understand what your parents' habits and stuff are. You don't tell them what's going on. So when they tell you they ain't got no batteries, we ain't got no batteries, and you got to plug it up in the wall. Like eventually, at some point, that it does get old, and I kind of fell off of it. But Sonic was always a main sticking point for me. So from there, it kind of just evolved into Game Boy, but gaming became an integral part to me because yes, is an escape, and it's not like I understood that at the time. Something you look back on now, like that was kind of one of the reasons. But it's just there's a different level of a connection there that you just don't get anywhere else. And I feel like I knew that even then, because to me, I never saw. Like, I know console wars have always been a thing, and Sony and Nintendo used to go back at it. Sony and Sega used to get, like, they were all involved in that. But I never looked at gaming like, oh, this and this. Whatever I had access to, I was enjoying, and just being enveloped in that world just did something different for me than like what TV would do for me. And of course, we're talking about the great era of TV too, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, the 90s, where all those shows were on point.
Slapping.
Like now. So it just off the chain. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, it's just, I think what really got me into it again is just being enveloped in that world and having an understanding like somebody put this together, and just nothing, there's nothing like that. And that's kind of why now I look at games differently. I mean, it's probably, I've always looked at it like that, but over the last couple of years since I've jumped into the community, it's been like, it's taken it that next level, because it went from me to being like, oh, I only care about this multiplayer side of things and whatever the case, to me being like, okay, no, I actually care about more than that. It's because gaming is art and should be treated as such. Shout out to the homie Everborn, who coined the term and never used it ever since he said it that first time. So I've been taking that ball and running with it, because it's true, and that's genuinely how I feel about it. So I think that's what it was for me that really made gaming important to me, and that, and my father brought me up into it. You know, and I had that connection with him. Whether we have that connection today is a whole different story.
I got you. So tell me a little bit more about like you just said yourself, your father kind of got you into it. What kind of games, and like, was he a console keeper of his own, or was it just like universal in the house, just like whatever's around, everybody can play it?
That's essentially how I came up. For as long as I can remember, when I think back to it, there was very few systems that I actually had that were like mine, that were at my house. And I remember those systems very vividly. But as far as everything else, those were, family had it, friends had it. But I mean, we also came from the era from going outside and being told to go outside. But we'll go outside to go to our friend's house, and now we're gaming over there. So either way, we're accomplishing the same goal. But it was more so a situation like that, to where whatever we had in the house is what we had. And then when I left the house, that's when things kind of opened up from there, where I got touches on a little bit of everything. So.
Okay. Well, now moving on through after the Game Gear, what was the first like house console that you had to plug into the TV?
The first house console is going to be the PlayStation 1.
Okay. Was it Ridge Racer that was your first game on it, or
no?
What was the game? What was the game?
The first game that I vividly remember is going to be Rampage. Rampage was the number one game for me at that time on the PlayStation 1. It was different. I mean, I'm a young kid. Of course, I'm gonna be obsessed with monsters tearing up a city, and you running through it, and you picking up people, throwing them, eating them, doing, like, the game was crazy. I had a freaking ward, whatever it was, on my thumb for years.
Oh, bro.
After playing that game so intensely, bro. Like, the PlayStation was just something different. That, and then when I got Dragon Ball Z GT Final Bout imported in,
Let's go.
Yep. It was one of those where I was like, Mom, because Dragon Ball Z was a big thing in the 90s, even in the late 80s. But neither here nor there. That's a whole different conversation. You can go down a deep rabbit hole with that. But
what did you do to turn that game on your console? I'm just kind of curious if you did the same thing that I had to do.
To me, this is the funny part. This was the funny part about that, and I'm still going to be forever salty about it. When I got that game, I unfortunately wasn't able to play it.
Right.
So I had to. My experience with that game was through a buddy's house, when we played the game together, because he was the one that originally introduced me to it, and I was like, "Hey, mom, can you get this game imported for me so I can play it?" And then I got it, and it didn't work, and we couldn't figure out why it wouldn't work. And my mom didn't feel like dealing with it, so she felt like she wasted money on it, whatever. She didn't want to hear no more about it. So I would just go to my friend's house and ended up playing it. But those gonna be the number ones that, like, first thing when I think of PlayStation, those gonna be the ones. That and Tekken. Yeah.
So to get that game to play, I remember because I bought that game and I bought Ultimate Fighter 22.
Oh, damn.
That was also another one. That was another Dragon Ball Z game, and and you had to, and what I had to do is I had to go get this Game Shark thing. It was like a Game Shark that had a memory card thing that you plug into the front.
Yeah.
It came with the CD. You put the CD in, you load it, turn it on, and then you tell it that you're like playing an import game, or you're like playing a non-English or
non-American game. NTSC.
Exactly. And then it would tell me to open up the tray or whatnot. Yeah. But the thing is what came with it was freaking genius. What came with because it came in like a box, kind of like a PlayStation 2 game. Almost the whole Game Shark thing did. Like I said, the memory card was in there, the disc was in there, but it came with a spring as well. In the spring you put inside of your PS1, in where the tray pushes down to let it know that it's closed. Right. So the console constantly thinks that it's that the tray is closed, even though that the tray will be open. Right. So like, you go in through the process of that Game Shark, you hit X saying, I'm playing a foreign game or whatnot, and then it says, okay, open tray. You open the tray, you see that spring holding that thing down, and the disc slowly stops spinning, and then I put in the import game, close it up, and then load it right up. And that's how I played it. But everything that I was seeing was Japanese. So I couldn't read. I couldn't read or understand anything that they were saying. But
once you got into the game, that's all that mattered. Once you got into a fight, once you saw where you could choose your characters, that's how you knew you made it. That was it.
Bro, I felt like Indiana Jones doing that, bro.
That sound like that's probably what my friend was going through. Because for me, I was always surprised because it was already set up every time that I would come over. Because me and his mom would chop it up, and again, it was like young. Yeah, I feel like we miss out on that, man. People aren't as welcoming as they used to be. No. But you go over somebody's house and it's just like full on hospitality. Of course, it's like it's a black people thing too, man. It's like you grow up with that mentality that family's important. You want to take care of the people that can take care of you or take care of kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas now people just only think about themselves. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I get that 100%. But yeah, I mean, it was a process to do that. So if you came over his crib and you seen that it was on already, it was because he went through the process.
It sounded like he was struggling with it for sure.
All right, so the PlayStation 1 was the first console in home that you had hooked up to your TV and whatnot. Yes. Let's drive forward a little bit. I kind of want to know what enticed you to be an Xbox, gamer at any point, because the PlayStation 2 was banging,
Oh yeah, and for other reasons.
I mean, it was a fantastic console. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. The Grand Theft Auto 2 was a game that just sold me that entire console. Like I had to have it once I seen that game play, because I thought that was unbelievable. And then along comes the Xbox. It doesn't, I think they ended up porting Grand Theft Auto to that later. Yeah. They ended up getting some games for that system that were on the PS2, but ended up going on to the Xbox as well, ported over. And then they had, some different features in there that the PS2 didn't have, that kind of made me kind of, get to scratching my chin a little bit. But
Blockbuster was a good place to go.
Right. So I just want to hear it from you, like what, enticed you around that period, because those were life decisions back then for us kids, right? Like, am I gonna go with the Xbox? Am I gonna go with the PlayStation? Or I still like my PlayStation. I ain't messing around with that mystery box. Or I mean, we've heard it all from that time period, right?
We definitely have.
We still hearing it today.
No, again, and it's crazy. And it's crazy when you think about it, because who really should have the advantage? And that's where I always come from. Like, as a company who's been in the game, has been doing it, how you let your competitor come in the game and make a name for themselves with no problem? You can say money or whatever the case, but you are running that space. What happened? And then I don't know. It's a whole different conversation. But for me, what got me into the Xbox ecosystem was a series of things. PlayStation 2 was definitely a great console. It was mainly, the biggest reason for its success was because of the DVD player, honestly, if you want to be real. So it kind of forced it in front of everybody. But not only that, the PlayStation 2 was also the fighter box, right? So where you're playing Tekken, you're playing Soul Calibur, where you're playing Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Greatest game on the PlayStation 2. No better game on there. Other than Tekken Tag 2. You can't beat that. Top. I still have to go back and play Tekken Tag 2 every now and then. They need to make another Tekken Tag.
I got the Tekken Tag on the Xbox. This is a dope game.
We need Tekken Tag 3 immediately. That's the next game Tekken need to do. But so you get that whole, as you're growing up, you got the multiple consoles, whether you're on Sega, you're on Nintendo 64, where you got like Super Smash Brothers. You have those. My point with that is, like, you have those sessions where you get together with a group of people and you're gaming together, right? That couch co-op experience, especially in fighting games. I think fighting games is really what kind of turned me into the competitive guy that I am today, right? In a certain form, because after a while, I just didn't take fighting games as serious. But when you translate that into, because during that PlayStation 2 era, even before that, I had also been PC gaming, probably when I shouldn't have been. Honestly, and this is like late 90s when I started PC gaming, early 2000s. My first PC game that I can vividly remember is Rainbow Six. Greatest Rainbow Six game I've ever, still to this day. But anyway, but what that did was change my mentality as how I look at how games should be played, because on PC we were already getting that multiplayer experience where you're playing against other people at least. And once you're exposed to that, it makes you look at things a little bit differently. So for the Xbox, what did it for me is going to be Halo. I didn't have a choice whether I was going to get an Xbox or not. We went from having a PlayStation 2 to my pops, and PlayStation 2 was out for a long time, so something else to take in consideration. But my pops came home one day, and he had this Xbox. He had this big-ass black box. I'm not even going to shy away from it. He had this big-ass black box, had no clue what this is, big old controllers, and he asked me to play Halo with him. That completely changed the way that I looked at gaming that point forward. Not only because of what Halo was able to do, but because of what the first person shooter aspect on a console was doing. I mean, going from keyboard and mouse to going to a controller and it feeling just as intuitive, if not damn near better in some aspects. Again, personal preference. I can't do mouse and keyboard now, and I only do controller, but it completely changed the aspect for me. Then from there, it went into, again, the Xbox just appeared randomly one day and it came back. Before I know it, we go to Blockbuster one day. This would have really sold me on the Xbox during that time too, other than Halo. We go into Blockbuster one day after the Xbox had been gone for a while, and we pick out like a few games. Blockbuster, you can only rent the game out for like max 3 to 5 days, whatever the case may be, if that, depending on how new the game was. Pops came home. We to bring the games back. Papa put these games in the console. We'd play them, have a good time. We take them back. One day we came back. I get on the console and the games are still there. I click on the game and the game works. Now, mind you, this is the time where you had to have the disc to play your games.
Right.
That's when I found out what modding was. And that flipped my whole world upside down too. That's when I started getting more involved with computers, the potential and everything else. But we literally had man, we're so far out of the side of the statute of limitation at this point. But we had so many Xbox games on that console that it was ridiculous. Another top star for me, and again, I don't know why they haven't gone back to it, is Hulk. The Hulk game. Oh my god, there was nothing better. Getting cars for boxing gloves. Just him picking it up, breaking it in half, and then putting it in his hands and running through the city, beating stuff up, jumping all. Like you literally felt like the Hulk. And it was like the first superhero game to me, other than, of course, you had your Spider-Mans and everything, but it was the first superhero game to me that really set that new standard of what we should be looking for.
Yeah, it felt like it made sense. Where it was like, all right. I mean, because you go back to the 64 and you throw Superman in, and you're like, this don't make no damn sense.
exactly.
And some of them Spider-Mans, you could say that exact same thing about like people think, you know, when they talk about Spider-Man now, people think of PS4 or they think of Miles Morales.
Yeah,
they don't think of those, you know, times where it was multi-plat on every single console, or you know, you playing the cartridge version on the 64 or Maximum Carnage for the Sega Genesis or something like that. People don't think of those things. They think about the newest and latest one to like kind of make their, you know, idea of what superhero games are supposed to be, and that kind of makes sense because the way that they implement, the way Insomniac did the recent Spider-Mans is the same way that you feel about the Hulk back on back on those on the Xbox or whatnot. So it just feels like it got taken care of. It got the treatment that it deserved. So that's you know, that's your most recent memory. That's the last thing you're gonna remember, and that's what you're gonna run with.
Exactly. It turned from games being made based off of movies to now movies being made based off of games. And I think that's the better angle to take. Because as soon as they were able to do that, that's when the experience started changing. Now Spider-Man's the greatest game that's ever been made, and nobody thinks about Batman when you're playing Spider-Man, even though you could say that Batman and games like that up to that point kind of started setting that stage for that style of game, right? So it's an exciting thing to get, and it's an exciting thing to see, man. So
yeah, I just want to shout out the chat real quick before we continue kicking it forward. Dragonheart Yobi, what's up? Good to see you back up in here. Earlier he said, my man, the legendary is it. I and he is him. The king, the man himself, Steel Rain, what up, brother? And then Stankmon says facts about something that we were talking about earlier. I guess I might have made a mistake and said GTA 2 or something like that. I probably had London and GTA
I knew what you meant.
In the back of my head because that's what I played originally on the original PlayStation. I played London and GTA 2 on the bird's eye view because that's the only way you could play those games back then. Then GTA 3 came out for PlayStation 2, and that's when I was, you know, up in arms, turning that tank thing backwards and flying up in the sky with the tank and stuff like that. You know, because that game was crazy. I mean, you just barely touch a car with that tank and it's exploding.
Yeah, it's taking up. Yep.
Exploding everything. Yep. And then Rail in the chat said, I didn't care about the PlayStation 2. I was on that Nintendo, then went to Xbox. And then Stankma fighting for the life of the PlayStation down there. I'm just kidding. He ain't fighting for the life of it. But but he said PlayStation 2 was the GOAT, which if you look at the numbers, I mean, it don't lie. He said, put some respect on it, which, yeah, it does deserve its respect. It deserves its flowers and all that stuff. But
after the DVD box.
I mean, that's what a lot of people want to say is, but it was a cheap DVD player, the cheapest you could get.
During the time it was, and that's why it sold the numbers that it did. But it also had fantastic and great games on it, which you can't deny either way.
Yeah, I mean, It was a third-party machine. That and the
Yep.
PlayStation 1 was.
Yep.
They were both third-party machines.
Easy.
Nobody. I mean, Sony Interactive was dope back then. I mean, it had like 989 Sports and stuff like that. Had fantastic sports games, fantastic games in general. But didn't nobody care about first-party games back then? I mean,
That's my point today. Like, I don't. Again, it's conversation now, and that's great. We can have that conversation. I love those conversations. But at the same point, like, I thought we just cared about games that were coming out and whether you could play them or not.
Right.
Before, it was like you were unfortunate and kind of had to make those choices. And even today, like, of course, you still got to make those hard choices, and you do got to feel for those people who may not be able to play certain games. But that's business, man. And it's always been like that. Now we're in the age of accessibility, and I think that's a great thing. So, but
I'm sorry, I gotta say this real quick, but I feel like those people that are still super mad about like Final Fantasy. I mean, I don't know, no disrespect, but like for me, it's just like, bro, if you need to play that game, go buy that console, bro. Like, I don't know what you're doing sitting around on your hands and then arguing about it in Twitter and whatever social media platform. Hey, man, I could tell you straight up, if Ark 2, which Ark, the original game, Ark Survival Evolved, that was my joint, right? Yeah. If I was being told, hey, the next one coming out, but it's for Switch only, I'm a cringe. Because I'm gonna be like, like, man, like,
it's not gonna run good. But...
Yeah, exactly. Like, but you know what? I'm not gonna sit there and be like, I'm just gonna continue to complain until it comes my way. Nah, man, I'm gonna go get me the OLED Switch. I mean, I already have a couple Switches, but I figure like that's the best I'm gonna get out of Ark. Is on the OLED Switch, so I might as well go ahead and get the best version and play it. Yeah. But my point is I'm not going to sit around and sit on my hands and be like, it needs to see me, like kumbaya, like come feed me, I'm starving. Nah, man, I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go figure it out.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't see it that way, man. But that's why I always, again, like I mentioned earlier in the show, why I think it's so important to know what you stand for as a gamer. You're not trying to appeal to other people. That's not what this hobby is about. People say, oh, it's expensive and everything else. You got to set the money. No, just stick with what you are happy with what you know you're going to play. Because once you start trying to appease other people to fit into a circle, or like, that's when you get outside of your reach, and then you start turning into this fake person or you just fall out of love of gaming because you're not doing it because you like it anymore. You're doing it to fit in, and that's not what gaming's about. It was never that. Like, people used to get beat up over this stuff, right? So it's like, and even today, people still looking at it with the side eyes, even with all the science behind it, proving that it's good for mental health, even with, all the information that has come out to prove that gaming is not the reason why kids go out here and shoot people. Like, that's not why. No matter what comes out, it still gets this side eye, man. And it's crazy when people still make it so personal. But again, how can you blame them? You invest, you want something within an ecosystem, doesn't come to your ecosystem, so people like to complain, man, especially in the internet era. Your voice is going to be seen by somebody. So
yeah, but I mean, it might not matter to a lot if you ain't making no damn sense.
No, but hey, I mean, a lot of that nonsense is getting the numbers though, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But let's go ahead and move on. Move on to a little bit further in the future. So you said you got that the OG Xbox. Dad brought that home. You played the place. You I almost said place. You played Halo on that console, and that's what kind of changed everything. And then you got into modding big, and you ended up having a crazy amount of games on a console, and you notice you didn't even have a disc up in there.
Yeah. That's just a different experience, man, because it's just like, oh, well, it's not technically legal, but at the same time, it's just a different experience because it's like, I mean, that's what you get on PC, right? I mean, you download all your games, you got a library, and you just boot them up. It's not even a thought. They're just there. So I mean, at least now, especially, but going from there, I mean, the other thing about the Xbox too, right, was the whole multiplayer side of it because it had the Ethernet built in. I was on Xbox Connect before Xbox Live was ever a thing, playing Halo. And Xbox Connect took it to a whole completely different. That was a whole different thing, right? Because you had to hook it up, you had to make sure you knew what you were doing with the network and everything. And mind you, I'm this young dude, like, how old am I at this point? Like, at least I'm 10, 11 years old, figure out network switches, how to hook up the Xbox to the computer so they could talk to each other, so we can, because it wasn't just LAN parties anymore, like, hook it up to the computer so it can get this connection, so you can connect to this room, and now you can play with these people across the world. That was my first introduction to playing online, like in that aspect, at least on a console that was outside of me sitting down in front of the computer, keyboard and mouse, and getting to it. So yeah, it changed a lot for me, man.
Yeah, in fact, you had you got that Xbox Live like little paper event eventually, and it came with a headset.
Yep.
To even get you online.
Mad dope.
It was a crazy time for that, and not everything was like good.
No, it definitely wasn't.
Like because you could play, because you could play online and you felt like kind of ritzy and whatnot, you still waiting 10 minutes for a match.
Yeah, sometimes definitely depending on connection, and it's like you look back on it now. That's why I use, even when Xbox Live was out. I mean, my parents couldn't really afford it at the time. Pay all this extra money to be playing online, and I'm young. They don't want me playing online anyway. Internet's just now like stepping into its forefront or whatever the case might be. So there's no telling what I was going to get exposed to, but I was able to get it in. That's how I started off playing on my pop's account. Kind of took his account over at some point, and then he was like, "All right, enough. I need my account back, so you got to make your own." But yeah, man, it was like the dark era, literally, of the internet, because there was no telling what you were going to get into. And again, my pops doesn't know half the stuff that I got into on the PC. You think about back in Diablo 2, Rainbow Six, those games on the PC, Battlefield, even then, people were talking all kinds of different kinds of smack. But yeah, I mean, connection was a heavy thing back then, waiting forever to get into a match, and then when you did, hopefully you had a good connection so the gameplay could be at least a good experience, along with having
like you got that DSL or you got that Road Runner.
Exactly. And you knew the difference. You knew the difference.
There's a big difference.
Ethernet was different, boy. Oh, that cable was different. I love it. But yeah, man.
So did you hop straight from the OG Xbox to the 360, or did you dabble with PS3 and 360? Or
no, I didn't get into PS3 until very late, and there was only one game that forced me to invest in the PlayStation ecosystem. But we'll get into that in a minute. We'll start off with, after the OG Xbox, it was Xbox all the way. Maybe it's because I had been exposed to Microsoft since about Windows 95, and I've been dealing with the computers. My pops was taking apart computers. We were fixing them together. Maybe it was part of it too, to where even today I still have this, not necessarily like love for Microsoft, but I do have a certain passion for them, and I do have like a certain care for them. Because it's what I grew up with. That's what I was around. That's what I got a lot of my experiences on. Like, my keenest memories are on some form of Microsoft software or system, right? And it's really because of the online experience of multiplayer gaming. Because from playing Halo on the OG Xbox and then playing Halo 2, going into Gears of War on the Xbox 360, that again just completely redefined it, because now not only do I have this first person shooter that I really love outside of like Unreal Tournament and Quake and stuff like that. Again, that's PC though, but on a console I have Halo, the best first person shooter on the market, and then other than Call of Duty, which popped up, Modern Warfare, different conversation, but then I also had my third person experience that was also multiplayer, that also had a knee gripping story, right? And that online experience was no other. That movement. I know a lot of people don't like Gears because Gears is not a friendly game. It was never intended. I don't think Gears was ever intended to be a friendly game. And that's what was so amazing about it, because it did take skill. Like, you had to practice, you had to get good. And people make fun of Gears. Oh, all you do is use shotguns all day. It's not that simple. Go just grab a shotgun in Gears right now and see how far you get. They've made it easier now, especially in Gears 5. But back then, it's like, if you didn't know the movements and you didn't know what you were doing, you was gonna get caught off guard. And we was talking smack about you, get kicked out of the room type, because you had custom lobbies. There wasn't now, oh, you just get quick matched with whoever. No, these custom lobbies, you get familiar with these people that you're playing with, certain names. You see people's names at the top of the leaderboard, you know who you're playing against. So it's a certain standard that you had to uphold. And that just, boom, from there, that turned into game battles, turned into MLG, turned into me going into tournaments and almost going pro. But yeah, that's it. It went in a whole different direction. But yeah, I mean, from Xbox and went straight into the Xbox 360. 100%.
Oh man,
Great
the cover system in Gears is just built different.
Yeah, no, it's different. No matter what game that you want to compare it to. And I know people say, look at Uncharted. I don't have personal experience with Uncharted, but from what I have seen from it, that's not Gears.
No,
like,
no,
Gears isn't.
I don't.
It's extremely intuitive.
To me, like Uncharted is fantastic, but that's slander.
That's what I've heard.
Right there, sir. That is slander. No, the Uncharted cover system is decent to Gears' greatn's of the cover system.
Exactly.
The Uncharted cover system pisses me off at times. Like it's like it works really well where you can get into the cover or whatnot,
right.
But then like shooting from said position is the issue. It's not the same as Halo, or not Halo, but Gears, where it feels smooth. It feels rocky on Uncharted. Now I just got into Uncharted 4, so it might be a little bit different. And you know, they just got done redoing that game,
like 4 games in though.
Legacy. Yeah, I mean, like, but that's a lot in the making, and then pretty much like a remake or a remaster, whatever you want to call it. But Gears from the jump, it had a cover system where you felt like a magnet when you go into cover. Like, you slide into it like boom, and you ain't getting touched unless you peek your head out. Now, what you did, like when you decide to peek your head out, is a different animal right there. Yeah. Because depending on which level of difficulty that you're playing on, if you're playing on like, what was it, like Insanity or something like that.
It was hardcore. You can start off rip. You had to beat the game the first time. Then you unlock it.
Man, you poke your head out the wrong time on Insanity, bro. You done. You done. You can get one-shotted real fast.
Oh no, quick! Gears is the first game that I always compare to Halo, because I've always played Halo on Legendary, and there's nothing like getting shot by them jackals. It's the same thing in Gears. There's nothing like getting shot by that sniper elite that's just sitting in the corner. Boop! I'm like, oh my, really? And Gears is graphic too, so it's like you get your head pop. It's like you feel it. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, they let you know you're dead. They let you know you are dead. Stinkma in the chat said Gears cover system, and he gave a bunch of like greater thans.
Facts.
And then he put Uncharted on the other side. Well, I mean, and Stinkma play. He doesn't even have a Series X yet. He's waiting for a game to get that blows his mind to get one. Fair, but he ain't coming around here capping though. He already knows Gears of War. That's the cover system right there.
Yeah, a lot of people sleep on it, which is why when we talk about here recently, when we heard about the rumors and everything, for those who evolved in the ecosystem or in the community and whatnot, or just interested in the information about the Marcus Phoenix collection, because the Marcus Phoenix collection is a chance for, of course, newer people to the whatever ecosystem that you're in, Xbox or PC. But also, introduce more people to it, because a lot of people have slept on it. A lot of people didn't take Gears seriously. That's why Gears gets the flack that it does now. Like 4 and 5 are like, between the first 3 games and 4 and 5, there's completely different mood change. Not saying that I love 4 and 5 also as part of the series, but it's not the same as 1 through 3, especially on the story front, the way they connected with you. But again, I mean, you also turn it from a dude bro shooter for good or bad, and trying to evolve the series. And it's kind of hard. You're 5 games in, going 6 games, and every one there's a certain level of expectation. That's that Halo syndrome, right? Where from jump you got story and multiplayer, both are fire. So now the expectation is they need to be fire every time. No shadow of a doubt. And I think Gears has been the one that's been holding that mantle for Xbox, at least together, the closest to me personally. Because every Gears game has both equally. Regardless of how you feel about it, they're both there. There's just little ups and downs with either one. So
I like in the earlier Gears, I just like the way you kind of feel like a family. Like it's really tight knit, like
right.
Like I feel like in the later ones they start to like break off a little bit. People start and people start, you know, some people start dying, especially in 5. Like my boy died in 5, man. That killed me. I was not happy when I seen that. I was like, bro, you got like he did the best he could in the situation that he was, and he knocked him out, but he died in the process.
And it happens, man. Like, but that's what also makes it so great, because they built it up, and it's like that's the problem with releasing so many games or having just multiple iterations of any game. It's just like nobody's gonna be happy the direction you take it, no matter what.
Right, you got to do something to keep it fresh.
Those first 3, like you said, it was close knit. It was family. You knew what mattered. You know that there's nothing better. Like there's no other feeling like when you find Dom's wife. When you first find his wife, because you're building up to this whole time, and then you find her, and you're like, there's just no words. That moment, I still think about to this day, along with what he did in 3. To save everybody, are just there's very few moments that I like that, which kind of leads me into the PlayStation 3, because the one game that did get me to invest in the PlayStation 3, outside of everything else, because again at that time PlayStation was known as a single player box. Of course, I had online and everything.
I still kind of feel like it's that way, bro.
I mean, hey, to each their own, right? It does still feel that way though, and there's kind of opening it up now as we've seen. But
ain't nothing wrong with that. That's the Switch. No. You can say the same thing about the Nintendo Switch, a single player. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can play multiplayer games on it, but more than likely when you cut it on, you're gonna be, you know, you and yourself enjoying an experience.
In that game, exactly.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And that's what kind of disconnected me from PlayStation. I really think was because PlayStation 2, again, like I said earlier, was more of a fighter box. So we'd get together. And as you grow older, like Xbox, I'm already in high school, Xbox 360, middle of high school. Like Xbox, I'm in middle school, and Xbox 360, high school. So it's like, it's turning into something different now. So, and it was more multiplayer facing for me at least. And that the whole multiplayer side of everything really jaded me, because I was at a standpoint to where I was not going to buy a game if it didn't have multiplayer connected to it. That's 100%. And I still feel that way. I have a hard time putting my ducats down for a game, knowing that once I beat that game, there's nothing else there for me, because people say single player games are one and done. I'm not going to go that far. But I can understand that statement, because I don't replay stories. That story gets that one playthrough for me on the hardest difficulty that I can play it on, as long as this ain't fucking ridiculous. And then that's it. I fully enjoy that experience, and I don't go back. I will never go back.
I don't even do that. I just play it on the normal difficulty, and if it's dope, I might do some new game plus, and then come back to it like when I get bored. If it's fire, I'll come back. Like Scarlet Nexus, I beat that game.
Scarlet Nexus is different.
I beat that game almost 3 times now, and
that's different.
and you know, like,
what a great game.
Yeah, There are games that I just come back to just for fun, just to check in, maybe see if there's something new, or just to kind of kill time and whoop ass. Especially now that we got like XCloud and stuff like that, it's easy just to cut on a game real quick, whoop some ass and then cut it back off. Especially if I don't have to download it, I can just play it on the go or something like that. But I mostly play everything either on my console or through remote, not through the cloud, through remote play. So
nice.
so I'm always playing from my own console one way or another, because I enjoy playing my own games. But I usually play the stories just on regular mode and just try to enjoy it, try to have a good time. But I'm similar to you. I'm looking for the next multiplayer game. I'm down to turn that difficulty all the way up and go through it with the boys, right? Because
it's a different
because
experience,
it's hilarious. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a fun. It's ridiculous. I mean, you can't make as many mistakes. And it's just kind of
Not without getting clowned though.
Yeah, exactly. So like it just feels a little bit different. Like, I don't know, like playing what was the game that I seen y'all playing not that long ago? Division 2. Division 2, yeah. So I went through that whole what is that building? I forget what it's called.
Summit?
The Summit. Yeah, the Summit. I went through that whole thing with like 3 or 4 of the people. I don't know how many you can have on a team. I think it's only 4.
4. You got up to 4, yeah.
Yeah. So I went through that for like 2 weeks. Me and my boys would just get online, around the same time each night, and do like 5, 6, 7 floors at a time. And that to me was dope, because we went on ahead and turned it up to heroic. So you gotta be peaking, but you can't just stand in the middle of everywhere and just blah, 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 blah. You have to be in the cover system in Division 2 is fire. I'll give it.
That's on point.
Yeah. It's really good, and I mean it's a spongy ass game, and sometimes that gets a little annoying, but at the same time, but at the same time, like after we beat the Summit, I was like at a like I felt like I won something, but then again I felt like I lost something at the same time. Because I mean because it's like, all right, y'all, well, that was fun.
Let's do it again.
And then my boys, some of my boys were like, I ain't doing that shit again.
And that's how
can't blame them. You can't blame them, because the Summit, it feels repetitive after a while. It feels like
it is.
I've been on this floor before, right? Kind of situation. Really fun and whatnot, but yeah, been here, done that. Time to move on, kind of thing. And I want more things like the Summit, where it's like just trial. Like it felt like a trial run of just you and your crew. Good luck. Here's a long ass situation that you got to deal with.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. Borderlands was a big game too for me. Love Borderlands 2, 3. I bought Tiny Tina's for $100, and I played it for like 5 hours. I don't like it.
That's crazy.
You feel about it.
That's crazy. Because Borderlands, I didn't get into Borderlands until 3. I always saw my brother playing it and everything. My brother's younger than me. He's 5 years younger than me. And he'd always like clamor, like, man, this game's so great. But it's like, I don't like, it's just, there's something about PvE only experiences, even if it's in a co-op setting, that doesn't do anything for me. It's like, so I'm getting better gear to do what? To show it off to y'all? Like, that doesn't do anything for me. I'd rather get better gear so we can all be fly, and then we go take out some other people. Like, that's dope. Let's get into some PvP action. So with Tiny Tina, because I played Borderlands 3, that was my first foray. I didn't like it. Like you, like with Tiny Tina, what you did, I put like 5 hours in and I put the game down. I was like, if this is what Borderlands is, this is not for me. People kept saying, oh, no, that's not it. Pong, again, another one. He said, yeah, because he's a Borderlands fan. Borderlands 2, he's talked to me about it.
2 is the game for me.
He says, between him and my brother, clamor, 2 is the greatest game. But he taught me into Tiny Tina's. I was liking what I seen from Tiny Tina. And I I actually enjoyed what I got out of the story campaign. Now, as far as the dungeons or whatever the case you do, the chaos dungeons afterwards, I don't have any interest in that. I played it for like 4 hours doing runs through the chaos dungeon to get better gear, and I found myself looking at the time, thinking about something would rather be doing than playing this. And it was like, and but that's also what I mean. It's like you got to be honest with yourself. It's like that experience. It's like I don't want to take anything away from it because I spent the money on it and I'm satisfied with what I got out of it. And I'm not going to ever look that gift horse in the mouth because I enjoyed it. But do I regret it in some aspects because I'm not still playing it? Yeah, because I don't have a reason to go back. Person, it's going to be different for different people. So.
Gotcha. So we got a couple people saying something in the chat. Sangma says PlayStation definitely a single player box now for sure. Which I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I've gotten to a party on PlayStation, and I mean, granted, I'm an Xbox, centric guy first. So I mean, I feel like silly saying too
jarring.
Much.
It's
but
jarring,
but at the same time, it's like I do have a few friends that play PlayStation and have PlayStation, and I have a few friends that are only PlayStation.
Right.
And I never get no invite to chat from anybody, and I ain't never playing anything to invite somebody to the chat on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
A lot of Uncharted's I've been playing as of lately. I mean, you think of the bangers for PlayStation, and you don't really think of anything multiplayer.
But let me ask you this question. Well, first, let me finish what I was going to say about PlayStation 3 earlier. The one game that got me to invest in the PlayStation 3 was Last of Us.
Fantastic game.
That first Last of Us, I will put in my top 5 games of all time, guaranteed. From that story. But what puts it up there for me is also that multiplayer. I love the way that's the reason
I was in on factions.
That was the only reason I played that game, because I saw my cousin playing the multiplayer and I was like, damn, brother, what is this? He was like, oh, that's that new game, Last of Us, man. This thing slap. Bro, as soon as I saw him put that shiv on that stick, he put it and he ran up on somebody and drove it in the side of it. I was like, bro, yeah, I need this game. That next week I went out and got a PlayStation 3, and that game is such a beautiful thing to me. Now, if you want to ask why I got a PlayStation 4, that's going to be a completely different. That's going to be a little bit different, because I can guarantee you'll probably, unless you've listened to me say it, you'll never guess why I got a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I probably won't, because I did not even. I've played the PlayStation 4 like less than 20 times.
Damn.
Because I skipped that entire, because I was only Xbox during that time. Mm-hmm. So I only had the Xbox One, 360. Didn't even really mess with Nintendo that much either. I mean, my roommate had a Wii, and eventually when I moved into another roommate's house, he had a PS4 as well, but I'd never cracked it on or anything. I was really big into Ark Survival Evolved for like 3 years though, so that
Ark
was
a thing though, yeah.
Bro, yeah, I don't know how much you got into it or not or whatnot, but like that game stole my life. It hijacked my life. It took me, for one dinosaur that I was taming, it took me, I want to say 18 hours to tame it.
Damn.
Bruh.
Damn, that sounds crazy.
Yep. I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with that dinosaur just kicking it. It was too much. It was too much, but that shit was fun as hell. But I just didn't really mess around with anything other than like a couple of games like right. Borderlands, Ark, Rocket League, Grand Theft Auto. That was a lot of the last generation for me. And I mean, Grand Theft Auto was the whole damn generation. It was the same damn game.
Yeah, GTA 5, bro. Like we've put too much time into GTA. That game needs to die. I'm sick of them keeping and bringing it back. Like, bro, and not to take anything from it, because it was fun. Like, I don't regret the time that I had with it, but it's like, I also like a homie asked me from work. It was a couple years ago now. At this point, he even talked me into it to the point to where like we were two men in entire heists. Like we weren't supposed to be doing this, but we were getting it done. And yeah, I mean, I had a fun time with it, but it's like at some point, what is enough GTA? Especially when they like laughing out when they laugh in our face. You got modders that do better with giving us a remaster of the game than Rockstar does. Like, what are y'all doing? And I hate that, but not to take anything away from it though.
So back to the PS4. Why'd you end up getting it then? Because like you said, I'll never guess.
PlayStation 4 for me it's another game that I had to end up importing. And as a Gundam fan, or really as a mecha fan, there's always those. I always look at the robot games. So it's like Armor Core at that stage for me. There's other games that did that. Steel Battalion. But for the PlayStation 4, there's this game called Gundam Breaker 3. And Gundam Breaker 3, the unique thing about that is that you can't buy it here. You have to import it. If and now you would think that, oh, it's only going to be dubbed, it's only going to have the foreign subtitles, whatever the case might be. No, and actually, if you import it from Singapore, you can get the English subtitled version. So that's exactly what I did. The first time I set my eyes on that game, because I didn't know there was other Gundam Breaker games. And again, when you're so involved in the multiplayer space, that's what you're thinking about. Getting on with the dude, with your homies, with your guys, get into the game, y'all just get into it. That's what it was always about. A lot of my gaming was so driven by the people that you ran with, because you were always playing. Like, as soon as you get on, invite, boom. Like, there was so many times, like for years of my life, like every time that I got on the box, invite instantly, boom, party and chat. It's like that's why I'm kind of weird about party chat now. It's like I don't like joining random people's parties unless it's like, yo, Steel, come through. You know what I'm saying? Or like if I leave my party open and I'm by myself, then it's like, hey, if you jump in, it's like, what's good? What's going on? What you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? I do those things on purpose, but Gundam Breaker 3 is what ended up getting me to buy PlayStation 4. And because of Gundam Breaker 3, which is basically, it's kind of like a Musu, not really. Basically, you were able to completely rebuild your own Gundams at some point, completely customize them, weapons. You had a huge variety of different things that you could do, had multiple forms of combat, and it was just a really dope game. Because but that's coming from me as a Gundam fan. But because of that game, I was able to get God of War, and then I got Spider-Man. God of War didn't do anything for me, but God of War has never done anything for me personally. I remember playing 1 and 2 back in the day.
So you're talking about 2018?
Yeah, 2018. Cause that's when I ended up getting. No, I got it the year prior, so I got it in 2017. But I had it for that time, for 2018 when that came around, because God of War was then, and then Spider-Man was too. But God of War had never been a thing for me, so that was a game I bought that game and hadn't finished it. I just have no interest in it. Like 1 and 2, even like when I think back on it, they're not memorable for me. And I know a lot of people love that game, and that's great, and a lot of people clamor for God, like, oh, it's the greatest game ever made. And visually, yeah, it's a good looking game, and I like the mechanics. I like how they evolved. God of War is dope, but it's not for me.
I say the same exact thing. I mean, it's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic looking game. The story's fantastic. The fighting's fantastic.
It's cool.
But at the end of the day, like, it's not like I'm not dying for the next one to come out. I'm excited for the next one to come out. I want to play the next one that comes out. I'm probably even gonna buy the next one that comes out. But it's not like the world isn't stopping for me on this one right here.
Yeah, and that's me. That's me on it too. Like, I'm happy for people that love that game, but it's like I'd rather play Devil May Cry. Like, that's more my style, not what you're trying to present to me and what people try to kind of force down your throat. Oh, if you hadn't played this game, then you're not such and such. And it's like, I can just not have interest in it. I've played it and found out that I just don't have interest in it. But I've also been gaming for long enough to look at something and be able to make that determination without feeling like I can't stand on my square about that. But the other note for me is going to be Spider-Man. Like we talked about earlier, Spider-Man 2018 literally because, well, I mean, one, of course, I'm a Marvel fan. I grew up as a Spider-Man fan. I'm an Iron Man fan now. Been an Iron Man fan for a long time now at this point. Twice as long as I've been a Spider-Man fan. But that game, like, Spider-Man was such an amazing experience. Like swinging, like once you first boot up that game and you're swinging through the city, you knew right then that Insomniac was the perfect development house for Spider-Man. And I do have a 100%, no matter what they do in that universe, that's what gets me excited about Spider-Man 2, which is a reason for me to get a PlayStation 5 whenever it ends up coming out, because of how they're going to bring in Venom. Because Venom is my overall favorite Spider-Man character. That's my guy. So now seeing, like, if you know what happened in the first game, mind you, after I beat the original content for Spider-Man, I didn't get a chance to play any of the DLC. Because after that, my PlayStation 4 sat for like a year. I didn't play it, didn't turn it on. I was fully back involved, PC and the Xbox ecosystem, back in it with the boys, getting to it. And again, multiplayer experiences, that's what's going to draw you. So I ended up selling the console because I'm a believer of not keeping something if I'm not going to use it. Personally, I know not everybody like that, which is understandable.
I am not like that.
which is understandable. Like in some aspects, I would love to have every console I've ever had and all the CD cases and everything. But it's like, I also grew up in such a way where, like, there's also a part of me was like, I'm still trying to fight that it's a kid's toy thing, that it's just taking up space kind of thing, right? Where it's just like, again, like, I didn't come up privileged, fortunately, unfortunately. Of course, all experiences make you the person you are today, but it's just like we had to make do with what we had. So it's like I wasn't able to keep things. I had to get rid of them. I had to let them go, pass them down, whatever the case might be, family or whatever the case. So, but yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, but it's like no shame to it. Like, it's not like I don't feel like I'm missing something.
No.
And that's what I feel like. That's what I don't understand about people. I know this is a question for later on. It's like about the gaming community, because that is something that I've always noticed. Although it's always been there. If you've been on the internet, people capping for stuff, people taking their side on certain things. The Android iPhone thing has been the biggest debacle of all of history, and iPhone users swear to God that they're better than Android users, and it's likewise so forth back, and we're arguing about phones that don't do nothing but call people. You get access, and depending on how you use it, maybe because I'm older, whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm about to be 30 this year, say older, but maybe just because I'm not as heavily as invested into the social side of things anymore like that, as far as just like trying to put myself out there and be known and make sure people see me, unless it's related to gaming. I just don't care for it like that. Like, I don't need the newest phones. Like, I take the greatest pictures and flex on Instagram or for anybody, or like, I don't care about any of that. Like I did when I was younger.
Oh, absolutely.
But now it's like, I'm a dad. There's other things that matter. Work, time is the major proponent, right? It's like, I have nowhere close to the amount of time that I used to have. So it's like, when I involve myself in these experiences, I also, again, tying into what I said earlier on, with gaming being art and you should treating it as such. When I play games, I want to get that 100-hour experience out of it. Why? Because I want to feel part of that experience. Get me involved in that world. I saw Rail mention Tales of Arise, and Tales of Arise is a good game, but I do think Scarlet Nexus is the better game. Tales of Arise, there's something about, I guess because it's that old JRPG mantra where it's like, get to a fight, you get to a monster, stop, load in, fight, stop, load in, run around, stop, fight. Like, that takes me out of the experience. If it would have been a more free-flowing, maybe it'd be different. But maybe I'm jaded because I did come up with Devil May Cry and games of that nature. So that's going to make you look at things differently automatically. And you're same thing with like combat-based games and everything else like that. But yeah, man, it's just so much.
I like the exhaustion that Scarlet Nexus gives you. It gives you this like exhausting feeling of, man, I've just literally poured out my whole repertoire on
Yep.
you. Like I unleashed, and my fingers can feel it.
Yep.
Like that's the kind of feeling I get from Scarlet Nexus. I'm sure it's similar feeling in Tales of Rise, because I've heard some of them boss fights are long.
Yeah.
But
You have a good time with it,
but I'm kind of interested to try it because I haven't tried any of the Tales games.
Arise is
personally.
good. Arise is good. I'm not gonna go back to it. It is what it is, but I can't say it is a good game from what I've played from it so far. And I understand why people clamor for it, why they love it. And there, I think there's a big reason why people say that it's probably one of the better Tales games that they've played thus far. So,
hey, I know a lot of people have been knocking on demos and stuff like that lately, and maybe demos behind a paywall knocking. I feel like that's fair to do, but people shouldn't knock demos by themselves, because the demo of Scarlet Nexus is what made me buy the game.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, they had like a little bit of the story demo where you ended up fighting that big old like beast thing. I don't remember what the hell it's called, but you ended up fighting that thing, and just from that like hour or hour and a half of me playing that game, I was hooked. I was like, all right. And I played that demo over and over like I was a kid playing Siphon Filter, and I ended up being like, all right, this is a day one buy. I'm buying this. And I turned around, bought it, and didn't regret it. Beat it twice. Then it came to Game Pass, and then people were like, oh, I bet you feel silly. You bought that game. It just came to Game Pass. And I'm like, I don't feel silly at all, because once it leaves, I'm going to still have it. And
even if it doesn't, like, that's another good point too, man. Like, yeah, it coming to Game Pass, it did a lot for a lot of people, but like, I don't invest in games and then regret it later. If the game comes into Game Pass, if I buy a game today and it comes into Game Pass 3 to 6 months from now, there's a reason I invested. And that's again another good example of the difference. I didn't play the demo. I looked at the gameplay, saw the combat mechanics, and was like, oh, I'm getting that day one. I told Pawn that too in the DMs. He tried the demo and he was like, I don't know still. I don't know how I feel about it. I was like, nah, Pawn, I'm getting it day one. I'll let you know. And he was like, yeah, but this is my experience. I was like, all right, well, cool. I'll take it into consideration, but I'm already invested. But again, it just comes back down to you being confident for what you know. And that's just so crazy that people are so easy to get manipulated and put one way or the other, where they question their own judgment. It's like, how long have you been living? And there's a lot of people in our community who are like older than we are that are questioning themselves, which is absurd to me, but here or there.
So I mean, Rel has a really good point right here, because he just mentions demos behind a paywall is no difference than when we used to get demos from buying Game Informer, or when GameStop used to give us demos for pre-ordered games or playing a beta. So I mean, there is some truth with that statement. I mean, there was that. I'm trying to remember. There was another. I think it was Game Pro as well. They used to do demos or something like that. PlayStation Magazine, I believe they used to have demos.
PC Magazine.
Hell, Pizza Hut used to give you demos.
Yeah, Pizza Hut, yeah. So, they all used to do it.
I would totally rather my demos be locked behind a pizza. I wouldn't be mad about that. I ain't tripping.
Bring that back, yeah. Let me get a large pizza in a demo while you at it.
Right? You can lock that behind pizzas all day, and you're definitely gonna sell more pizzas.
Yeah, but, I don't feel really either way about the demos. I mean, of course, I do think it's weird to put them behind a paywall, but at the same time, like, if you're investing in the ecosystem, it's not hurting nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you got to figure out what the reason behind you to get like a subscription service is, and cling on to that. Everything else from that point is just bonus, really, because because they were talking about demos behind the paywall on PlayStation, and I was one of the first to get up and be like, what the hell? The only reason I said what the hell is because it was on the highest tier. If they would have just said, the demos are just available, on if you have PlayStation Plus of any sort, then I would be like, that's pretty dope. That's cool. That's a nice little touch. But to say it's on the highest of tiers with streaming PS3 games, I feel like those are two things that aren't top tier things. But
hand in hand. No.
Those aren't top tier things, but they're on the top tier, and it just didn't make any sense to me. But like behind a paywall isn't that big of a deal as long as it's allocated to the right spot.
Right, exactly.
Because if it was an essential or even an extra where you're having you get the PS4 and PS5 games, I feel like you should at least do that. It doesn't have to be an essential. If you want to make essential bare bones, like it is kind of currently, go on ahead and do that. But it shouldn't be like, hey man, you paid $2, $3, $4 extra and you can get a demo.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I agree with Rel. Like the demo should be in the cheapest version. Like that's what I think. I mean, you do want people to give people a reason to invest in your ecosystem, but you also want to make sure that they feel like they're getting some form of benefit from it, right? And like you said, when you put it in the highest tier, it doesn't seem very high tier for me to get a demo. That seems like something that you'd want to tease me with, so I could possibly spend more, right? Maybe I want to invest in the higher ecosystem because that game is part of that next tier or whatever the case might be, but I get in the demo in the smaller tier. It's hard to say like it should just be free, because I do think as gamers, we're also like super entitled. And there's a lot of effort that just goes into these games. And if PlayStation, like they said, if they're going to be the ones that do it, you're taking resources away from the wrong things. Unless, like the other thing we were hearing, you're just going to lock out an hour of the game. Yeah, that's like a low tier type thing to me. But right, either here or there.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is at the end of the day. And like I said, you're gonna buy or pay for a subscription that you feel like has that one thing for you. Exactly. Or maybe those few things. Like for instance, like I have the essential just because I want to be able to be online and chat with people. Right. Also, the cloud storage thing is kind of a big deal for me on the PlayStation. I pay for the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate because day one drops, cloud gaming, being able to play with a bunch of homies, and then we all have the same list of games that we can go through and just kind of pick. And the amount is just crazy. I feel like PlayStation will evolve more towards that than where they are right now. But if we remember, and I've talked about this on like K Mega's podcast and stuff like that as well. Like
GRG.
Yeah. But if you remember, 2017 Game Pass, it's not what today's Game Pass is. Not at all.
No. Again, I mean that boat had to be turned. That's that forever conversation that we're gonna have. Where that's the next Xbox On documentary I want to see. That transition from Phil taking over, really leading the mantle, and what that felt like. Because for those who haven't watched that Power On documentary, that was a very revealing doc that I think not a lot of people paid attention to, because I know a lot of people just care about games. That's all you care about. For me, it's like, what happened behind the scenes? Why were these choices made? And when you pull back that curtain, it does help you kind of understand like there is more to it than how we kind of break it down, right? It's a lot more complicated than how it seems to be.
All right. Well, we better get to some of these other questions because we stuck on that one for a hot minute. So as I told you before, I sent you the questions, but we may not hit every single one of them. But as for the next question I want to ask you, it has to do with content creation. So I want to know what kind of got you into the space to be able to, I mean, I see you got your whole setup now. You got your chair looking comfortable. You there every Saturday, 9 a.m. to do living split screen with Pong Soul. Every once in a while, you'll be on Boom Show and all this other stuff. So I want to know, like, let's go back to the beginning before you had the setup. Before you really had everything like scheduled. What was it like entering into the realm of content creation for you?
For me, content creation was something that I mean, honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but it's not something that ever anticipated being part of. Mainly because people of color weren't very well represented in gaming for a long time. So every time that I turn on the TV, you see IGN, you see Ryan McCaffrey, whoever the big names are, Dustin, whoever you want to use as a reference. There wasn't anybody that I could personally relate to. So it made it seem like unless I was of a certain way, did things a certain way, talked a certain way, um, or just had somebody within the industry, I would never be able to get in there. So everything always stayed in like parties and things. It never went from there. I've always wanted to take it further than that, build the community up, have a bunch of people that we could talk to. So every time that we get online, no matter what or who you are, as long as you had a good community of people that respected each other, when you got online, you had people to play with. And that was my experience. I mean, I did build that, but it wasn't tied to anything, and it didn't ever grow from there. Um, and me and my friend group, the dudes that I used to kick it with, like we always used to think about that. Like we made YouTube videos for GTA 5 and everything, and that kind of started that track. But what really got me into it was me and my brother, man. Like he's another brother from another, but he's my guy from back in the day. We went to high school together. We got together, and he was like, we came up with the idea. I was like, man, we should probably do a podcast or something because we would talk about sports, talk about gaming, and we were extremely passionate about it. So I mean, we started that. We got into it and everything. It was called the Lucrative Forever podcast, where literally we talked about sports, gaming, and whatever was going on within the entertainment industry overall, right? And then my life got kind of complicated. My wife ended up having a severe stroke
Ooh.
that impacted her in a very negative way. She's bouncing back from it now, so I mean, we're a few years out from it now, and she's recovered, but so I stepped back from it. I was like, I'm too caught up. I'm stretched these different ways, and so I stopped kind of doing it. And from that point, I had already started trying to streamline everything. That's when I streamlined my name to I Still Reign I to T's a seven. That's when I created my Twitter. So I can start building it back up, get back involved in the social networks and everything. And I'm still kind of behind the curve. I still haven't made an account on Reddit. I mean, I have an account, but it's like a low key account. It's not a living split screen account, right? Where I'm
Okay.
building up something there. But I built up my Twitter account so that I could force myself to be try to get and be part of the community, try to make some sort of name for myself or whatever the case may be, or at least be part of the discussion or talk with other people of a similar mind. Um, what that ended up turning into, really, I guess I'll back it up a little bit more. Because after me taking a break from that podcast, I started listening to more podcasts. Of course, I used to listen to the Joe Budden podcast back in the day when that was going on for a long time. There was other little podcasts, but I never took it serious. But I did want to get back into like I wanted to listen to specifically gaming podcasts. And every time that I had ever looked it up in the past, there wasn't much there, at least for what I was looking for. That was until one day I ended up randomly finding the Iron Lords. I found Mr. Boomstick. I found Rand, and I found Dealer, and I started listening. I started listening to him like on a week to week basis, and I love the way that they kind of carried themselves. It kind of lit that fire in me. It's like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be a certain way. Maybe I can be myself, and just this is whatever energy that I come with. If people respect it, they respect it. If not, then I'll find out whether this is for me or not. And I just started talking to people, man. And start finding out that there's other people who like the things that you like, play similar games that you like. You have good conversation with people in the chat. And that's what started with, that's how me and Pong got introduced. We'd be in and out of Boom's chat, Hardy X chat, or whatever else the case might be. And it was just a casual, yo, much love. Hey, it's nice to see you again. So boom. And you just talking to people in the chat. And then one day, because I used to always, fuck with Paul a little bit and say, oh, you know what I'm saying? It seems like me and you got some good energy, man. Right? We should probably get together, get on the game sometime or whatever, and just chop it up. And then it turned into he randomly hit me up in the DM. It was like, yo, I was thinking about doing a podcast, you know. I couldn't think of nobody else to do it with other than you, man. And I like the energy that you bring, and I like the conversations we got. So what do you think? And then that brainstorm started. And that's what created Living Split Screen. It took us forever to come to the name Living Split Screen. And the whole concept is, again, kind of taking it back to back in the day where it was literally that split screen experience. Bringing it in such a way to the community where it felt tight knit, it felt honest, it felt creative, it felt it can be competitive a little bit. It's something we don't have to always, just because I won doesn't mean you have to hate me that day or whatever the case might be. That's the kind of how, and that's kind of how split screen used to be back in the day. Like, yeah, you used to get into your fights or whatever the case might be. Of course, you had to throw some hands. You beat somebody's ass too bad in some Tekken or something. Go outside and square up. But other than that, you still shook hands, got back inside, and kept playing. And that was just kind of the whole concept behind it, man. Which is why, you know, for the background, I flip the video so it kind of looks like you're in a split screen experience. You got your one player at the top, second player down the bottom. And that lines it up for some future potential too, where if it's me and Paul playing, whoever I'm playing with at the time, if we can both get it recorded, there's so much potential that we have with that. But that's what led me into it, man. Getting into the community and just wanting to reach fellow gamers outside of my circle, because it felt so close knit for such a long time. And I've always wanted more than that. I wanted to be able to talk to, it's ironic, like Phil Spencer says, the 3 billion gamers that are out there, because our current gaming space between consoles and PC is capped out at 500 million, and we haven't grown from that, which is why the plays are being made at the way they are now, and why I say we are in the age of accessibility, because now more people are playing games than ever before. Now people are understanding that there is more potential with the games. Now people do see games as art when you're bringing characters to life. When you're making movies based off of games, that tells me that people are starting to get it. Gaming isn't the number one entertainment industry for no reason, right? And seeing that transition is something I've always wanted to be a part of. I didn't think that there was enough of a mantle there for me, because it just wasn't enough diversity, especially me being a person of color, dog. I'm black. My father was black. I was raised as a black child. And my father always wanted to make sure that I understood what that meant. I never had that connection until I saw the Iron Lords and I said, oh, damn, well, it is possible. And I love their energy, because that's what my clique was. That's how we talked smack, got together, talked about these games, and that was it. And we always wanted to grow it from there, man. So that's my main proponent. I want to be able to come into the community, grow it, give you that live, raw, and uncut content, being 100% passionate, honest, and just coming from an authentic and genuine place. So that's me.
Okay. If you were, now this is a random question that I just kind of thought of, is if you were to work for any entity of gaming within gaming,
right now,
which one would you choose? Would you choose to work, you know, for like let's narrow it down a little bit first. Would you choose to work in like the news area, or would you be like wanting to work with a specific platform? Or
honestly, I personally wanted to be more entertainment news centric. Really, it's really more so light on the news, because when you say news, it can put kind of a negative connotation. Oh, you're only going to talk about certain things, and you're going to talk about it a certain way. Oh, I've heard the same conversation all week, which is unique about what me and Pong do, because we're literally so busy we don't have no time to talk to each other throughout the week. But somehow we put together a 3 to 4 hour show every Saturday. Like, it's gotten to a point where, like, we tried to limit it in the beginning, and we felt like we were cutting each other short. Like, we weren't getting the true breadth of the content out of there, and we both love talking. And we're talking about And we're actually talking, not just, oh, we're going different places, nobody knows what's going on. No, we're having deep conversations, pulling back the layers. But to answer your question straight up, what entity that I would want to work for? None of them. I think that we could come together as a community and support each other to become our own thing. I don't think we need to look up to any of these people. They can't report on the news. They can't report on gaming. They've proven time and time again. If there's one thing that I've noticed in my entire life of gaming, is that these people at the top don't know what they're talking about. You have people in positions that are just there to be there. Maybe they had passion at one point. That's the one thing that I've kind of lost respect for. Hopefully you don't mind, for Mr. McCaffrey himself, is that energy isn't there for me. I stopped listening to him because he doesn't sound passionate. He might be, and I'm not here to judge him for it either way. But I feel like it's gone. I feel like it's hollow. He doesn't have that same care. And it's like that with a lot of the industry. Like when they put together an indie showcase and it's dry. You want people to care about indie games, the games that are really going to change how we look at the future of gaming, because they have the creative ability to do whatever they want. Yes, there's risk, but they have to take the risk to make a name for themselves and make it boring. Oh, we're going to have a 15-minute conversation with this person, a 10-minute breakdown with this person, not have any hype behind, us introducing the show and the people watching, and you're assigned to these bigger platforms. Where's the love for it? Where's the respect? And these people, like, do the people in the chairs just say, yeah, well, that's perfect. Yeah, good. That was a good shoot. Yeah, you guys were great. Like, you guys never been a part of customer service? Never had good customer service where that exchange, when somebody's upbeat and they feel genuine, where it makes you excited about whatever you're watching or whatever you're into or whatever you're trying to get through. Like, it just makes you look at things a little bit differently. So that's me. I think we can, and I know a lot of people don't see it this way, like, oh, nobody in the community is going to agree. I disagree with that. You can build up a community of people who look at it and see, you know what? It's not about me being better than this person. How can I help these people grow? Because if we grow together, the money will come. It's all about content, being able to be honest with each other. That's the other thing that's missing. Nobody can be honest with each other nowadays.
That's probably the most irritating. That's the most irritating part of and I'm not just blaming IGN or any of these, larger companies. I see it within just the communities that I follow, some of the shows that I thoroughly enjoy, some of the shows that I love to show up to and listen to. I'm just like, man, I already know what's coming. Like as soon as they complain about something with Xbox or they bring up PlayStation Plus and stuff like that, I just know what's coming already, and I hate that about content creation, because sometimes I'm just like, dude, I feel like you guys just hit the on button for the show and said, hey, let's bitch. Let's not talk about anything good.
I hate that. I legitimately hate that. And that's why, I'm not scared to say, like, there's a lot of shows that I would like to listen to but I can't listen to. One, for time, but two, I don't agree with everybody's opinion on how they carry themselves, right? Like, in the beginning, it's funny and it's cute and whatever the case, but after a while, like, if that's what you enjoy doing, great, that's you. There's 3 billion gamers out here. It doesn't have to be 1,000 people that you see every day on Twitter that people fight over every day. We got to break that cap. I don't know. That
Rel said something in the chat that I agree with. He said, my problem with some content creators is they will talk about one subject for an entire, just because the game got delayed, please go to another topic. I see what he's saying, and what I'm trying to say with that is, like, it just sucks, like, when I show up to a show and they're talking about how like how terrible, like, the Halo show is, but they do that for, like, what feels like 2 hours. And it's like, all right, we see that you don't like this. Can you go to something that is enjoyable? Something that you have passion for.
What do you like?
I don't want to hear about 117's butt cheeks for an hour.
Yeah,
or
it's like
I just don't get that. Like, and sometimes the diversity of cast kind of bothers me a little bit, because sometimes it's just like, you know, let's all shit on something for a long time, and like for instance, I was listening to, I'm not going to call him out by name because I feel like it's kind of disrespectful, but I was listening to a few different podcasts after the Xbox showcase came on, and it was like I couldn't even sniff out any positivity, but somehow each of these people are giving it a 7, an 8, and a 6 and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a second, you just described to me the worst showcase that you've ever seen, but it got an 8. How does that make sense? I know if I seen the worst, I remember not that long ago, I watched the PlayStation showcase and I was like, all right, bro, for me, it's a 4. And people were like, why are you rated so low? I said, because, well, no, it wasn't the PlayStation showcase. It was the Summer Game Fest.
Summer Game Fest?
Yeah. I gave it a 4. And I said it had nothing to do with just the games as much as it was with the pacing, me feeling like I needed a nap at the end of it because Last of Us felt like it lasted a half hour. Yeah, and it didn't feel like they were talking about anything new other than graphics. They really didn't dig into like the haptic feedback of it, or they didn't dig into some of that new stuff that you would anticipate them to dig into. It was just like visual porn is all they were trying to just give you. It's just like, oh, look at this. This is really pretty, really pretty, really pretty. Can you see the difference between picture A and picture B? And it's like, dude, I don't give a shit about that. This is like the 4th time you're releasing this game. I want to hear something like they, and then they showed up like concept art of like factions and stuff like that. That pissed me off. And I was just like, all right, like this is, and then after that I was like, all right, what's next? Something has to be banging now, because y'all just y'all about put me to sleep on this couch. And then they're like, that's it, that's the show. And I was like, oh hell no. like I was just not feeling that. So a lot of things go into like me giving that show a rating other than just the games. Now I can also say a lot of the games weren't intriguing to me outside of like Call of Duty, the new one. Callisto Protocol looked pretty dope. There was a game that kind of looked similar to Scarlet Nexus that I can't remember off the top of my head. They're like space anime kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what game you're talking about. I'm hyped for that game too.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that game. It's by the Hoyo team, the creators of Genshin Impact. They're putting that Genshin money to work.
So I was like, man, this stuff looks, some of the stuff looks pretty cool, but like the things that I was like some of the things I was interested in, I didn't see any gameplay in, like that Scarlet Nexus type game. I don't remember seeing any gameplay for that. They
show very little. They gave you like a tease. There was another one that they followed up with that, which was another separate game, I believe, if I'm not remembering wrong. So but they didn't show too much.
So and then there was a couple trailers in there that had me fooled into thinking it was one thing or another. Like the Aliens game, I was confused by the end of that one.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be an add-on.
It was twin stick. I thought it was a twin stick at first, and then everybody's telling me it's RTS, and I'm like, well, that isn't good marketing, because you got half of the people thinking one thing, and another half saying, oh, it's RTS. It ain't twin stick at all, and I'm just like, though, that's confusing. Yeah. So I mean, they had some things that were pretty dope, but like the pacing of a show is a big deal. That's why I liked the Sony one and the Microsoft one better, because it was just like boom, 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 just games. I gave the Xbox event an 8. And I gave the PlayStation event a 6, because a lot of it was just PC stuff and VR stuff, which I'm not interested in either one of those two things, to be honest. I'm a little interested in the VR thing, but I'm more interested to see other people play it before I buy it. I'm not running out
Yeah.
to buy it. I don't want to be y'all's beta tester for that. I'm good on
Yeah,
that. I'll wait.
nah.
Uh,
In VR, I don't think VR is far enough ahead. Like again, to me, maybe it's just I'm being bougie about it. But unless I can get that Sword Art Online experience where I can be I'm jacked in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'm not trying to play
you trying to be
VR.
Neo?
Yep. Maybe not to that extreme, but I want a VR experience just like I can sit down and enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Like we stand up all day. Well, it depends on what your job is, whatever the case may be. But you're moving around all day. I mean, that experience is cool. I don't think VR is ahead enough for me yet.
Yeah, I mean, I have a what is it called? The VR headset from
Oculus.
Meta, yeah, Oculus, and it's fantastic. But I can tell you that I'd rather be sitting and chilling and playing these games. And one game that was fantastic with the VR headset is Flight Simulator. If you can get that VR headset or a VR headset and try out Flight Simulator, it's a whole nother experience to be able to fly and then do one of these.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Or like Forza, where if you were able to do like in Forza or Gran Turismo. I think that's what PlayStation might end up doing with GT is if they can put it in that VR2 experience, that would be different. That would do something different for that game for sure.
Absolutely. We got a couple more people up in the chat. Mr. Joanna Dark, good to see you, brother. Pong Soul, the other half of Living Split Screen up in the chat. Good to see you, brother.
On, buddy.
Really good to see y'all. But let's keep it moving.
Sure.
So throughout all the times that you play these games and whatnot, I'm kind of wondering what generation you'd want to like go back and retackle that maybe you felt like you've either missed out on or something that you can't get enough of.
Missed out on. I don't feel like I've missed out on anything. Honestly, I would much rather if there was like if I was going to go back, I would go back to the 360 era, just because of those. You can't beat those genuine online experiences you get. You join the Call of Duty lobbies, kids yelling at you, saying whatever they want, people talking smack to each other before party chat. That be a time that I would love to go back to. Online matchmaking before party chat was a completely different animal because was no running. You were gonna get that ass whooping, or you gonna hand it out, and people were gonna know. And it was just a different experience, man. And like. So that would be the one that I would want to go back to, that early 360 era, right? Maybe before the party chat, maybe right after the party chat era. I think that would be super dope.
Yeah, it's fantastic time. All right, and then here's an interesting one: a most memorable moment throughout your history in gaming. And if you have several, go on ahead and just give me one of them because I mean we're kind of running low on time, and I kind of want to get going here soon, just because family and stuff like that. But yeah, memorable moment in gaming. Give me one.
Memorable moment in gaming. My most memorable moment in gaming is going to be when General Rom in Gears of War 1, you're playing as Marcus Phoenix, and you get to this cutscene where you're fighting off the locusts and everything in the middle of the street. Kim runs up, shooting. General Rom pops up, looking like a beast. Kim runs up, shooting, trying to help, and Rom grabs that man by the throat and just rams him with his sword. That made me realize like the grit, the impact of what true storytelling can do for you. Because from that moment, that told me, like, especially early in the Xbox 360 generation, we hadn't had a game that was like this yet. Not at this level. And for it to be so upfront and be like, yeah, this is a dude you need to be scared of. That's probably gonna be one of my most memorable moments. Other than that, there's just so many, man. Like my whole game battle to the MLG experience that I had with Halo and Gears early on. Those are gonna be the most memorable experience, and they all get interchanged with each other because there were so many clutch moments. Like those are the days when being clutch mattered, or in Modern Warfare when you get those ninja diffusers in, and people would just rile you up and hype you up. Those you just can't. Those are the memorable moments, man. It will always stick out forever to me. But one is that Gears moment for sure.
You went back to pride and joy of Gears. That's what's up, brother. All right, so continuing on. What's a genre of gaming? And this could be anything like sports, RTS, you know, turn-based, whatever. Like what's a genre that you ain't really playing a whole lot of?
I'm not going back to RTS games. I love the RTS view. that's a phrase that I've coined, pulling yourself out of the world and everything. But I'm not playing real-time strategy games. I loved them back in the day. Age of Empires 2, Warcraft 2 to 3. Those games were great. Command and Conquer, StarCraft. Those games were great. I don't care for RTS games now. I don't care if we could play it with a controller. I don't care if you could play them in a house with a mouse, with a fox and some socks. I'm not trying to play RTS games anymore.
Man, they're time crushers.
They are. Like the closest
those games are
is
time
Rift
crushers.
Breaker. The closest I can get to is Rift Breaker. But even Rift Breaker is a little bit different because it adds a little mix in the RTS, because it becomes like a twin stick shooter mixed with an RTS where you're base building, defending your base, with your actual hero, your mech guy that you got walking around, girl technically. So yeah.
I wonder if that Aliens game is gonna be like that.
I wonder, because it did kind of look like that. If it is, that might be another game that ends up being a time sink, because Rift Breaker, I don't know if you've got a chance to try it, or if you're into RTS games or those kind of styles or twin stick shooter games. I would say, at least because it was in Game Pass, at least it was on Game Pass PC. I don't know if it's on console.
Yeah, it is.
If it's on, I would suggest trying it out. At least giving it 30 minutes of your time to see if it's worth it. Because it's a fun time. It gives you the freedom. You build your own base. Once you learn it, it becomes a real time crunch.
All right,
if they made Gears RTS, Buffalo, if they made Gears RTS, I'm not playing it. I don't like Gears Tactics. Gears Tactics isn't for me.
So you even said the love, the game, the Gears. It don't matter what it could be your favorite. If it says RTS, you bouncing. Good. You out.
No, I'm good.
I feel that. All right, so top 3 games that you played within the last year. So I'm gonna kind of open this up, kind of open the gates up on this one. It does not have to be games that came out in the last year, but more or less games that kind of pulled you into the point where it felt like you couldn't escape. You just had to like finish it or just keep playing it over and over until you were just done.
Damn.
3 of them things.
3 of them. Damn. That's gonna be interesting. 3 games off top that I'd probably give hands down to. Elden Ring is going to be top of the list.
Are you a Souls player?
Yeah, I love Souls games.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's easy for you then.
Yeah, no, that's super easy. I do Elden Ring. I'll mix it up a little bit. Damn, there is a lot though that I can interchange. Elden Ring, Halo Infinite. Will be the last one. And because I just got off the kick recently, like within the last year, I'm gonna say Black Desert Online.
Oh my goodness. I didn't expect that to come out.
Black Desert Online. I have over 1,500 hours in Black Desert Online.
I can't with that game. I just can't.
Yeah, bro, like once you like, because I originally played it on PC and I stopped playing it once I heard it was coming to console. Once I picked it back up on console, bro, like, I really learned how to play. it turned into a huge time sink. It's to the point like I have so much time in that game and some money spent. I can't delete it off my hard drive if I wanted to. I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice, and I don't even know if I have a plan to. Like I'm scared to boot the game up. That's how bad it is. Like because if I do, I'm gonna get back invested in that ecosystem because I enjoy what Black Desert gives you, but I can also be very honest and say Black Desert is also a very pay to win game.
Yeah, that's what I hear about that game. But like, I see you feel that way the same way I feel about Ark, man. And it's like, man,
yeah,
my issue with that is it's like, man, if I play that game, I'm gonna have to like be there every day.
Yep.
and then like
Yep.
I'm also taking 150 gigs off of my hard drive to be able to play that, or I'm taking 150 gigs off of my computer that could probably be used to play something fresh that I haven't done quite yet. I love this game, but nah, man, I need to move on. Like it's like, you know, after you move away from your hometown, it's like you went and visit. Anytime you go and visit it, you question why you ever moved. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things with that game for me. And it's frustrating.
You won't play nothing else. You won't play nothing else. That's the other bad thing about multiplayer experiences, but it's also the most positive thing about it is that you end up spending so much time in those worlds where it's like, damn, I'm literally not playing nothing else other than this game right now. Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad thing because you're loving it in the moment, but then you go back and look on it, you're like, damn, man, like you take that break and you're like, dude, do I really get back into it? But yeah, I'd have to agree with you.
All right. What's the game that you're most excited for within the next year? Now, we just had the showcase, and I kind of want you to spit some bars right here. So not only give me the one game that you're excited for, but give me like a few that kind of are honorable mentioned as well. So the way I want you to kind of attack this is I want you to hit me with some honorable mentions first, and then hit me with the cream of the crop.
All right, so game that I'm excited for. See, this is always so difficult for me because I don't like getting excited for games earlier on because then it puts me in a rut sometimes where I literally won't play games until a certain game comes out. I've been known to do that, and it's a bad habit. But right now, the number one that I'm probably the most excited for is going to be Motorsport 8 or the new Motorsport. I'm a huge sim racing fan. I'm the guy that turns on simulation everything. I can't do damage anymore. That's too hardcore for me. But I used to for a really long time. And you want to talk about some annoying racing. So I had to start races over. But yeah, no, I'm excited for Motorsport. Oh, man, what else is like along the horizon? Now that we saw more from Starfield, I've never been a huge Bethesda ZeniMax dude. But Starfield's space games are definitely do something different for me. Again, maybe it's because I grew up with Star Trek, Star Wars. So anytime that you're thinking about either the distant future or a close future, Halo, if you want to throw it in there, that piques my interest. And I always respect Bethesda and ZeniMax for what they do, but the closest relation I have for them is Elder Scrolls Online. And you can't deny the impact that they've had on gaming overall. There's a reason why people say Todd Howard is God Howard and why he's known for all these things and everything, because he literally sets a standard, decade standard. You might not like every iteration of whatever game. You don't have to like 76, but you can't deny Skyrim. You can't deny Oblivion. You can't deny Fallout New Vegas. Like you can't. So
hell, at this point, you can barely deny 76.
Yeah, I mean, from the comeback that I've heard from the
can talk about when it launched. Yeah, you can talk about that. But I mean, talk about it now.
They brought it back, and
now
that wasn't even from the A team. That was from like the C team. You know what I'm saying? So it's like And for this to be an idea that was in Todd's head for 25 years or whatever, and he finally had the tech to do it, I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of it. I like the way the game looked. It's definitely going to be the best Bethesda-looking game that they've put out thus far. Whether you think that's a standard, people think that's a standard or not, that's to be translated on your own. Other than that, what else? The new Pokemon game at the end of the year is piquing my interest because now they're actually going to do what I thought they were going to do in Arceus, which is the only reason I involved myself in the Pokemon game again. It was I thought I was going to be able to co-op with my brother for us to go train together. That was I've wanted that from Pokemon for forever. Let's have a co-op experience. Let's go fight some Pokemon together. Let's go battle other people. Why are we not getting that? And then now this most recent game that we're getting at the end of the year, Nintendo treats us like suckers, brother. But I'm excited for that.
Hey, we eat it up though, don't we?
Yeah, I mean every time, can't deny it. And other than that, Spider-Man coming to PC.
Oh, there you go.
Mainly because I didn't get to play all that DLC. I beat the game on the hardest difficulty. I think it was spectacular that they called it on Spider-Man. Put 80 hours into the game, completely beat it. Couldn't get the last achievement for the game or one of the last missions done because it glitched out or whatever. It's one of the main reasons I put the PlayStation down. That shit frustrated the hell out of me. It happens. But I want to be able to play the new content, man. I want to play the new DLC. I want to play Miles Morales when it drops. I'm a Marvel dude. I love those hero games. Batman. Arkham Knight, beautiful game. I just played through the Arkham series because I had only played Knight, and those games was great. So getting Spider-Man, which I feel like is another great iteration of that formula, where I call it that Arkham dance. Palm calls it that Arkham dance. There's no better feeling, and I can't wait to get that. The mods is going to be crazy on that game.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
going to be terrible.
It is about to be wild.
It's about to be terrible. You're going to see Chief flying in the air. Like you're going to see some things that are just like disrespectful happening.
Chief, the grappling hooks.
Oh yes, it's gonna be great. You're gonna see some really uncomfortable things. Day one.
Day one. Hey, all I'm gonna tell you is Catwoman. Watch what they do to her. Well, Black Cat, I should say. Watch what they do to her, brother. Watch.
All right, so that was fantastic. I like that. But now I want you to go back into like the old school time. Young Steel back in the day. What games would you run back and be like, yo, we need to revive this joint right here? I want you to give me two of them. Two games that you need to that need to come back, not in the form of a remaster, but more like a remake from the ground up. So like every single thing's
first
like
one's
AAA.
Easy. First was easy. Sonic Adventure 2.
Okay.
Battle. From the GameCube version. I need that version. I need Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That is the best version of that game because it had all the content. And they upped it a little bit and everything. I need a full remaster of that. Ground
Shadow
floor.
was dope.
Yo, that game is the greatest Sonic game that exists to date. Heroes was good too. I like Sonic Heroes. But no, Sonic Adventure 2 is the greatest. If we don't get an Adventure 3, if Frontiers is ass, I'm gonna have to write Sega a letter. Because you gotta stop doing my boy Sonic bad. Especially when he's getting like the glow up, man. He's getting the respect from these movies. The second one.
Yeah, we can't be having movies better than video games now.
Yeah, bruh. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I love the Sonic movies. Like, they did that. They did my guy so right. I'm glad they changed them. The second one. What would I want to come back? Ground level.
Yeah.
I want Max Payne 1 and 2. In like a collection completely.
Well, they're already doing that though. Oh, but you said it from the ground up though.
Yeah, I'm talking about from the ground up. Like everything redone. They go in and fix everything. They may be doing that with the new one, with the one that they're doing now. But I really want to see that. But if we're going to leave that one out, since it has been kind of talked about and it's kind of in the weeds right now, what other one? I want another Contra game.
I like what Sensei said in the chat. He said
What another
Midnight Club
Contra
Dub
game?
Edition always.
Midnight Club. Oh, I like that.
I mean,
No,
he ain't
since you said
lying.
Midnight, since you said that, nah, I got to take mine back. I need that OG. I need that OG Most Wanted, not the one that they remade and called Most Wanted and didn't even play like the original. I'm talking about the OG Xbox Need for Speed Most Wanted, or Underground 2, or Underground game. Period. Do a new one. Just call that one Need for Speed
Hey,
Underground.
what's your beef with Midnight Club? You just completely.
Midnight
Like,
Club was
oh,
good.
snap.
Dub Edition was probably, it was Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. That was like the first Midnight Club that I really dived neck deep into. And it was a really fun game, and I really loved that game. The customization is awesome. But it's something about Need for Speed that always hit, it just hit different. Need for Speed was the one for me, at least.
I ain't gonna lie, Need for Speed with those drag races and the drift races
Mhm.
were fantastic on Underground.
Bro, it's something about those cop chases too, bro. Like they just hit different, like in Need for Speed, and it's something that the newer one is too is missing heat. It's like it's just something off about it. It's not the same like it used to be. I don't know. That would be what I would pick though.
Sensei, you ain't lying. Brooke Burke was banging back in them Need for Speed games. She was the host or narrator of, I think it was Need for Speed 1, I want to say, that she was in. I don't remember exactly, but she was fine back in the day. Absolutely. So now we've reached the part where I ask you something a little rough. So, what about gaming in general frustrates you? Now, you said you had something that you were going to touch on from earlier that you're going to bring back up. So, go on ahead and do your thing.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's just I don't understand the gaming space why people who have been picked on for so long, where they finally have a space where we can have open conversation and people are being more accepting of us and everything else, and people continue to choose to rather be toxic in the gaming space, or not try to evolve the gaming space and would rather keep things stagnant. People don't want to move into the future. Like you care about the future, but you don't want things to move forward. You want things to be, oh, it needs to be about my box and my box only. I don't get that. I don't get that about gaming. It was, to me, it was never like that. I understand it may have been like that for some people, for the grown folks who came up in that era. Cool, I get it. Like you were in that, and it was a thing. You had to make the choice. But now, sure, some people have to make the choice, but also people are, especially on one side of the fence with Xbox, you're getting more access to more games than you have ever had in your damn life. And for some reason, you still find a way for that not to be good enough. Oh, they're not doing AAA over the shoulder action adventure bangers. They're not telling stories, movie quality games. Every game isn't like this. Oh, they're not doing this. They're not. It's like what else could you want? The competitor, like the other thing about gaming too is the things are different. So we're not in that E3 era either, where there was that competition there. It was an exciting thing to see when Xbox did a show and then Sony came, or Sony did a show and then Xbox came, because then that ramped up the conversation. You were like, oh snap, did you see what Sony did? Oh, did you see what Xbox did though? Oh, and Xbox came, they not hitting it for years. Xbox said, Sony getting them. Then Sony drop out. Now they do this sporadic thing where they announce games whenever they feel like, because again, like me and Paul put up the numbers a couple weeks ago, Sony's like number 7 as far as brand recognition across the world. So they're gonna do whatever they feel like because it works. And that's fine, and that's people who are invested in that ecosystem. I completely understand you, and I feel you. It's the same reasons why I'm invested in the ecosystems I'm in, right? You have something that you're playing that you love to enjoy, and that community is great for you. It's not for me. And I want people to be able to have more open discussion and genuine opinions, their opinions, versus us screaming into a well, saying the same shit to everybody, fronting for people just so that we can be liked. We already had that problem. Why like you got bullied, like again, people got bullied for that back in the day, and now we're turning into that same thing.
Yeah.
That
It's
makes
like
no
the
sense.
what do you want to call it? Like the sheep turned into the wolf
Yeah, exactly.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
And to me that is not cool. If you're gonna talk the stuff and talk your trash and stuff like that, I feel like
That's fine.
I'm more comfortable doing that, like in my own like party and stuff like that with with my folks and stuff like that. I'm not gonna sit here on these shows and announce 10 different ways to Sunday why something sucks.
Yeah,
and that is, the most annoying thing to me is like, because sometimes I turn on a podcast and I'll read the title of the podcast and I'll already know what's happening in there before I even get in. And then I get in, I verify what is going on, and I'm just like, man, it's the same suspects saying the same stuff, and somehow they have hundreds of people watching, and I'm just like,
drama sells,
yeah. I mean, as Chameleonaire and Paul Wall had that CD back in the day, controversy sells, bro, and it really does. And for me, it's like kind of weird because, I mean, you're not learning anything at all from it.
No, you're just getting drama from it. Like, no, you're not. Like, it's one thing to, like, I'm not saying have your fun and clown and have your preferences. That's cool. I mean, we've always had that. But at the same time, like, you're not talking about what you like either. You're not giving me reasons to be like, okay, well, I understand why you're coming from that angle. No, you're just repeating what you said last week.
Or you're repeating what another panel member just said. And that's the part that annoys me a little bit. I mean, that's why I say I talk my shit with my folks within the party. Like, I'll say what I have to say, but like when I get on podcasts and stuff like that, it's still me exactly, but I'm not going to take 20 minutes away from everybody's day to bash something that I'm not even going to play.
Yeah, that makes no sense, because then you're being disingenuous.
Or I'm not going to watch, or, I mean, it's like that Halo TV show thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
You hear these people saying, I'm not watching the show, I'm not supporting the show, but for some reason, you go an hour further into the show and they're still talking about it. And it's just like, dude, if you don't want to support it, then why are you talking about it for so damn long?
Because they're hiding. That's why. These are the guys that sit offline and they play these games anyway. That's what's sad about it. Like, you like it, so why are you fronting about it? And if you don't like it, tell me why you like the thing that you like. There's very few PlayStation podcasts that do things really well and talk about what they care about, right? There are the ones out there, and shout out to them, but they're far and few in between, and that's sad. Like, I don't know. It's neither here or there, but that's why I say we got to continue to come together. So.
No, it's true. Hey, a few plugs I'm gonna throw out though that are fantastic at what they do. Mystic, I really enjoy watching Mystic stuff. PlayStation guy. Also, the Trophy Room, fantastic guys. Mr. Badbit and all them, really cool dudes. Check them out. But got like 2 more questions and then we're getting out of here. So now we're gonna flip the script a little bit. Ooh. And I want to know what's like a dream come true to you within gaming, like as a whole. It doesn't have to be community based or anything, just like the dream for you. What is it?
Like the overall dream, like what I would want, like
it can be you. It can be for you personally. It could be for everybody. It could be for whatever. This is a dream, so I can't tell you how to dream.
Yeah, it's true. Can't tell you how to dream. My dream for gaming is for everybody just to have access in some way, shape, or form, to be able to enjoy the thing that I've enjoyed for almost 3 decades, and understand and come to an understanding of why I've enjoyed it. For the people who don't get it, to just jump in and be like, dang, you know what? I slept on this. This is something important. It is dope. Gaming is art. I want that's the future that I kind of see. I want us to be able to kind of come together. I know it sounds like kumbaya, whatever the case may be, but that's what I want, man. Because like, how else are we supposed to grow? How else are we supposed to continuously evolve the space? I mean, honestly, if you look at it, you go 10 years ago. Look at the games from 10 years ago to the games today. How can you not be grateful for that? What do you think we're gonna get 10 years from now? Like, that vision is insane to me. We're gonna be playing games with so much fidelity and performance in $300 to $500 boxes, because this isn't going to go away. There's gonna be other ways to play, but it's not gonna go away. Mm-hmm. Something that was not possible before. And we haven't even entered quantum computing yet. Once that gets introduced into gaming, that spectrum is, there are so many things that are going to evolve and change. And I want to see AI become smarter. I want to see these worlds evolve. I want to see how they get our attention. Not everything has to be live service, but how are you going to continuously pull my attention and pull because Fortnite's not going to be for everything either, but how are you going to grow that? Because there's always going to be that new thing. Right now, before it was arena shooters. Now it's open worlds to the battle royales at this point. What's next? What's going to be the next thing? MMOs are starting to make that kind of hit, right? MMOs have always been in the background, kind of slept on.
Yeah.
You got to pay for it, right? You got to pay to play.
Yeah, and they've always been one of the biggest money makers too.
And they're the biggest money makers. But now they're getting more recognition because they're getting more accessible. Final Fantasy 14, biggest example. It's all a huge boom, of course, because World of Warcraft kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but it's on PlayStation and it is on PC. So you have a huge consumer base that's 100% invested in that. How do you evolve that? You know what I mean? Got games like Black Desert, you got games like Naraka. Like, there's so many different avenues that we could take, and I'm excited for the future. My overall dream is just to see gaming continuously evolve, and for us just to be able to have genuine, honest conversations with each other, right?
I personally think console gaming is going to get more expensive. I think you're going to start seeing $600-$700 consoles getting closer to the PC because of them being able to make things so accessible. Hey, we have a built-in app on your TV. We have, you can play it on your phone or your tablet and stuff like that. And you have a lot of these games, getting to like, anywhere between 720p, 30 to, 1080, 60, some even higher for depending on what you're playing on or what service that you're using. So with that being said, a lot of people aren't going to see the need to go get a $500 console that's only bumped up a little bit in res and getting similar frame rates to an actual console. So I feel like at some point, Xbox or PlayStation or maybe even Nintendo, I doubt Nintendo because Nintendo ain't really, they ain't trying to flex power as much as they're trying to flex, something else. Yeah, but with these consoles that are like Xbox and PlayStation and maybe another person that wants to enter the arena to fight, I feel like there's gonna be something that comes out that's like $600-$700 or something like that. It's gonna be labeled a pro, and then it's just gonna keep going up from there a little bit, and eventually you'll start to see a console come out for like $800. You can buy this console for $800. And the reason we're charging so much is because there's a limited supply of constant coming out. But if you want to be able to play it, you know what, just get you the dongle or get you a Samsung TV or something like that. That way the companies feel like they can make ends meet with the consoles at the same time as raising the bar exponentially. That's my personal opinion from it. I have no idea if that will actually happen because I feel like we've been playing this $300, $400, $500 gaming thing for a long time. And I feel like there's only so far you can go with that.
Yeah, I mean, there is, but you still got to make it good enough. You still got to make it make sense for the consumer, right?
But it does if you have it everywhere already. Like if you already have it on people's TV, dongle devices,
right?
Cheaper versions.
That's where that's where definitely accessibility comes into play. But at the same point, like, I guess that would alter my dream a little bit, because what I would want instead is for people to understand what the numbers really mean. Like, people are so obsessed with 4K, and we don't need 4K. Like, I can give you a 1080p game, up-res it to 4K, up it to the high max details like they do on PC, like I can do on PC. And to give you that experience, you'll think that it's 4K, and if nobody tells you, you'll never know. But once somebody tells you, now you'll never know. I thought that game was absolutely beautiful when it came out. I played the game on release.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't even question it. I was like, damn, this game looked good.
And then Digital Foundry came out, and you're like, oh, excuse me? I've been playing at 1080p?
But it's like, but that shows you that's not what it's about. Does the game look good? That's what matters. Does the game play good? That's why I need people to stop selling it for 30. 30 needs to go away. Like 60, if it's not 60 FPS in games, you are missing out. It's about feeling your games, not just the visuals. The visuals are there. Now they need to refine them and make sure they can give you consistency. Not, we don't know if we're going to be able to make it hit 1080 60. You can. What do you mean? It doesn't have to be 4K. Like, you're only doing it because the consumer base is fooled into thinking that that's important, and it's not. Because nobody would know the difference otherwise.
These 30 FPS with fidelity modes. I mean, I turn that shit off every time. Like you like performance every single time, and I'm sitting here looking over at these PC dudes, and they looking back at me like, bro, we tried to tell you. I mean, and I'm right there too. I mean, as a PC guy, I've always had that higher frame rate. So it's like, but once you evolve yourself in the ecosystem, you get caught up in that. So you're like, oh, these games play fine. Because guess what? That's what matters. But now that you have that experience, you can look back and be like, you know what? I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, 60 feel like 10 times better than when I was just playing that 30. And it just shows you better, man. Like, there's no better fit than the feeling is so much more important than just the visual quality. So. Absolutely. Love the answer. All right. So, I mean, do you happen to have any questions for me before we go ahead and get out of here? Because it's getting pretty late, bruh.
Nah, it definitely is. We get a couple batches into something. What would you say? And we talked about it a little bit, the issues with the community and everything, but what are your overall ambitions? Was like, why are you doing this? What is your overall goal? What do you feel like the value you bring to the community? Why are you doing this?
So my thing is, like, it's just to bring people together, and we either we agree on things or not. And Yobi hopped into which I'm gonna use him as an example right here. Yobi hopped in, like, I invited him, I invited K Mega, my buddy Loke, Uso Vinny. I invited a bunch of people to a party just for the hell of it, because I like doing stuff like that. I'll bring some people up in the party, and if I have a good idea, this will be a pretty fun party or whatnot, and I know ain't nobody got no crazy beef or whatnot with each other, I'll invite them in, but I'll play the asshole. When they get in, so at least when they get in, everybody can agree that Ham is a dick. So So I be getting clowned on sometimes in some of these parties I be inviting people in and stuff like that. And I love it just because it unifies us all together. And if you know me, I just like to joke. I like to, BS. I'll talk crazy about Xbox one day, and then I'll turn around and talk crazy about PlayStation in the same paragraph. Or something like that. I'll be like, oh man, but you ain't playing no greatness. And then I'll turn around and say, oh man, PlayStation Party Chat's the worst thing I've ever used. So I mean, I'm just messing around with people's feelings a little bit and just getting under people's skin. But at the same time, I'm letting you know, hey, this is all love and I'm just joking and having fun, and I'm just happy to have, these good people around me and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, as I said at the beginning of our show, we're here to play games. We're here to learn and have fun. And I feel like if I'm not one of my favorite parts of learning is learning from ignorance. I like saying something that might get somebody to, look up without being too toxic. I'm not trying to say, oh, you can't play, or this is, or like gatekeep your squad or your friends or gaming. I cannot stand that shit. I can't stand it. But my thing is like, I like to kind of like say something that I may think, or I might even be wrong about, just to see what the reaction is or what I'm gonna hear back. Maybe I might learn something. Like for instance, I do this with K Mega all the time. I'll smash on Madden, or I'll smash on a game that he likes, just so he can tell me why he likes it, with some passion behind it. Because if you knock on somebody's game, they're gonna come at you with the passion, and they will tell you why you are wrong for what you believe. And I thrive off of that because I want to be wrong. I don't want to forever think, man, I had water and it's nasty. Maybe I just drank from a nasty ass faucet. That might have been the situation. Water ain't nasty. yeah, exactly. Water ain't nasty. Sometimes you ain't drinking it from the right source.
Tap water ain't quite it.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to just have fun with people, keep it light, keep it gaming. At the end of the day, let everybody know it's all about respect, love, peace, and the kind of shit that Yobi stands for. I really appreciate his takes, what he has to say about me. Sometimes I think it's really funny because he knows because he says I'm like I don't remember the exact words. He is like I bring like frustration or like a little bit of angst to conversations, and I feel like that's real. But at the same time, like, if you just know who I am, like, I just like to keep it fun, keep it light, keep everybody talking, have some fun. I'm just kind of like the uncle, the questionable uncle that shows up at the cookout, and everybody's like, he's a questionable uncle that shows up at the cookout. You're just like, oh shit, what's he up to?
You're about to get into it with him, have an argument for nothing.
Exactly. I'm finna bring up an argument for no damn reason and just have fun with it. Yeah, that's what he called it. He said Han Solo, the beacon of destruction.
Oh, beacon of destruction.
Yes, sir. So I'll come in and bring the argument. And one of my favorite things to argue about is when everyone's bashing on something. I like to come in and tell everybody why it's good, just to make everybody mad.
But somebody got to say it, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you're what? I can respect it.
I'm just y'all sound boring.
Exactly. Like, I'm tired of y'all bitching. I'm gonna switch it up on y'all. Now what? But that opens up conversation, right? And that's what this is supposed to be about. How can we make it better? Not how can we not talk to each other? How can we just sit in the party and cry you got enough going on in your real life. There's a reason why you hop on here, why this is part of your passion. So treat it like that, man. You know what I'm saying? So at least that's
absolutely. Well, brother, Brother Still Rain, I appreciate you and your time for coming out here behind them sticks with your boy Ham Solo today. Go on ahead and let everybody know where they can find you one more time before we get the hell get up out of here.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, even if you're listening on the back end, hit that like button for Ham Solo, man. Share it out. Tell somebody about it. Tell your mama's daddy's boyfriend about it, because he might roll that way. Maybe he'll be into it. But with that being said, I want to thank the chat. I want to thank you, Ham, for inviting me on again. Again, it's nothing but an honor. This is one of those moments where it's just like, I'm forever going to be grateful because, I mean, you didn't have to hit me up in the DMs. You know what I'm saying? We could have settled something that could have never worked and could have left it at that. But I love this, man. I appreciate everything that you do. I loved your answer at the end. It's a beautiful thing. Again, we're standing on the same line of the same fence, so it's a beautiful thing to see. But with that, you can find me, Still Rain I. The T is a 7 everywhere that has a search bar. You want a quicker way? Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever it may be. Hit me up in the DMs. Hit me up on Xbox, party chat, whatever the case may be. You'll know if I'm busy. I'm not one of those dudes who's gonna be like just ignore you. I'll send you a message, be like, hey, I'm tied up right now, getting my gaming in, whatever the case. I don't have to front you. I don't have to hide. None of that. I hate when people do that. Some people do it for other reasons, but yeah, hit me up there. Other than that, every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time, Live a Split Screen goes live. We bring you that live, raw, uncut content, non-console centric. We talk about everything that's going on within the gaming industry. We just put our personal takes on it, man. Also, we take that RTS view, pulling ourselves, as much as I don't like RTS games, I do like taking that RTS view, pulling yourself out of the world, looking at the darker crevices of the map, pulling your resources together, and so I know about RTSs, and just having that honest conversation and just helping the community grow, man, because that's what's important. Other than that, again, much love, thanks, and yeah, man, appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. And there's one last thing I need to break your brain with.
Oh.
Describe gaming in 3 words.
Describe gaming in 3 words. This is funny because when you first sent it to me, I automatically had the 3 words that I wanted to use. And now that you've asked me, I have no clue.
That's how it goes.
Passionate, fun, and intriguing.
All right. Passionate, fun, and intriguing. All right. Well, that's it, everybody. Make sure you guys hit that like button, share it out, and all that, yada, yada, yada. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be back with us tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern for Bullsitting with me, Loke, and Cozy Blue. Loke got me talking about Nintendo shit, so I know I'm going to be slipping. So if you want to see me, ramble about shit I don't know what I'm talking about, catch me tomorrow. I'll be there. I'll be there talking all sorts of crazy noise and getting on Loke's goddamn nerves, because that's what I'm good at. So y'all stick around. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll definitely see you next week for more episodes of Behind Them Sticks. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you for your time. Peace.
That's love.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Game.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you were playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see, we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, Boosie. I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor, and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can help with those. The mo was broke when he made you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet, and I need some seconds. You say you had promiscuous ways, that was back in the day. I'll be alive, I say I did it. That shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey could pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you if you complain. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation?